Welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Great to be with you. Appreciate you tuning in. Hope you're well on a Balls McWednesday. Well, basketball action tonight. All right, and away we go with the choo-choo. 5 o'clock hour, we will ease into Tallahassee Game Day Court Report, the first of 16 of these that we're going to do this year. Similar to what we did, of course, a year ago, where we use the final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show to be a pseudo pregame show for that night's basketball game. By the way, we're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you're going to listen live via the streaming free always. If you miss anything, go back, get caught up at your leisure. We'll post all 3 hours on iTunes. We'll also post it on our webpage in the audio vault. If you utilize the WTSM app, you can find it there too. Hello to YouTubers and Periscopers. I hope you guys are doing well. Feel free to fire away with those emails. I am swamped with those, inundated with those. JCS at 979, ESPNradio.com. Can't get to everybody. I wish I could, because there are a lot of really good questions that have come in about the process, about what led to the decision, people who agree with it, people who disagree with it, of course, and everybody in between who can see both sides. I think that's really where this is, a very nuanced way of looking at a situation would be to say it's not ideal to fire your head coach, as we did on Sunday in this situation in such a short period of time after he had taken over a troubled program. Certainly there are PR hits to deal with there, but it's also not ideal to look as disorganized and poor on the football field as we did for the better part of 2 years. And if you don't think it's going to get better and you're losing somewhere between the neighborhood of millions of dollars each week and total around $18 million for the year, you maybe had no choice, as the president alluded to. So now we, of course, turned our attention right away to Florida State's search for their next head coach. And it's funny how after 24 hours of rampant rumors and crazy assertions about what was going to happen and how quickly that was going to happen, we've seen people have to take a huge step back. Many people had to walk back things that they stated, quote-unquote, as reports being accurate or things that they were hearing from their sources, because as it turns out, Bob was never in town. And we talked about that on yesterday's show, that, well, he may be a candidate, may very well be the guy that Florida State would like to see hire. But there's a process that takes place here, and it's going to be fairly complicated, because guys like that want the world, and they're going to ask for it before they say yes. And that's continuing to be sort of the talking point you hear regarding that particular candidate. You begin to hear other names trickle out, various versions of that, who would be interested in why, which coaches are represented by which agents, and how this search will play out is of vital importance to Florida State. You do not want to put yourself in that position that you saw Tennessee and many other schools in, which is to embarrass yourself publicly and get turned down by people who you believe certainly would have no business turning down your school. Those things can be awfully messy, so you want to have a buttoned-up search and really have a game plan.
Well, Dave Doran had a big season ahead of him at NC State. What are you talking about? I wouldn't have left either.
I really do laugh remembering I think it was 8 people, Tennessee, basically begged to take the job. It was bizarre.
You have any gut feelings? You think it's just going to be a little bit?
I think it's going to be a bit.
Yeah.
I said, I was hinting yesterday that, for the people that thought something was going to happen today or Thursday by noon, and I was hearing really crazy things. I just don't know how that's going to be possible, especially if it's who they thought it was going to be, because, again, that's a complicated deal. You'd be talking about paying a coach, $7-8 million a year, probably closer to $8 million. And, what kind of staff was he going to put together? What demands was he going to have about the football operations and athletic department and those offices and the people that he would want in place? There's just stability questions at Florida State right now.
It's interesting, too, because it was widely reported. You could look a lot of places about a booster call that took place yesterday. I know that you had info on a booster call on Monday that was going to take place.
Yeah.
But I just wonder how specific can those calls really be? Because
that call, I can tell you that call featured an ask for money. That call, part of that was basically asking for more money. Like, you're going to have to contribute. We're still going. We're part of the process. We're still in the midst of this, but you're going to have to contribute money.
But in terms of giving, updates to the second about, the nature of negotiations, that's just asking for a leak. At that point, you're asking for leaks at any number of outlets. So I don't know
you're
how
not going to
specific
do that,
as a the leader of the boosters, if Andy Miller's directing the call, or if Director Coburn himself is directing the call from the Florida State side, you probably have to speak in grand generalities while, like you're saying, passing around the collection plate more than you can say, well, Bob and his representation have talked to us. There's no way you could give a timeline like that on a booster call where you don't even know who's dialing into the conference code.
Yeah, and I laugh. I've heard a lot of names out there that I don't know, man. I mean, why in the world would Lane Kiffin, rumors or those that want to appear to have an in on this thing, like Lane Kiffin, there's no chance Florida State's hiring Lane Kiffin. Again, you got to keep in mind when you're looking at candidates, which candidates are the safest, the elite talent, like he would if he went to Florida State. If Florida State knows what they're doing, they'll take a flyer on that guy because he's won everywhere with marginal players. Now give him Florida talent, plus he's interesting as all get out. You know, it would be a splash hire, make it happen. Yeah, well, fine. I don't disagree that Leach has found ways to win in places that it's hard to win, and I don't disagree that he's coached up some quarterbacks that were largely overlooked and became household names by the time they left his programs. But I also know that guy, quirky as all get out, is a bit of a risk because of PR concerns. That's all I'm saying. And I don't think Florida State wants to jump into those waters at all. So certainly Lane Kiffin is not going to be a name that they look at. You'd have to, again, I don't know how big the pool is. I am curious. That concerns me. One of my greatest fears was that Willie was going to do what he did, which was give them a reason to let him go, and a good one at that, right? Because at that time that we first talked about this, we broached this, I think after the Virginia game we were talking, you and I were, and I said, man, if this goes sideways, is it possible they could end up firing him this year in season, just after the season? I mean, and that's when we began to have those conversations, and I said, well, here's why. I'm not saying they can't or that they shouldn't. I am saying that if they do, this isn't exactly a great time to be searching for a head coach.
Yeah. I feel like if Mike Leach was the guy and you had the coach's interview with Mike Leach, the sponsor should be like Spencer's or something like that, because he's just
Spencer's.
Because you could ask him,
anything
equal
you
amount.
want.
Well, you ask him equal amount of football and then non-football related questions, and it's probably the best 15 minutes of the week anywhere that you can get. But I think it's also a good reminder every once in a while that as a fan, I know that we have dual roles here. We're trying to report the facts and
give our opinions on those facts.
Then, debunk the ones you think that doesn't sound like it makes sense. You can also have fun with this process and say, oh man, I hope they get this guy, that guy, and that guy. It's not like the same as signing day when you get 5-star and 4-star kids that are choosing between the 3-card Monty, but it's close. Where you're like, man, this is a really important hire, and I wonder what candidate X could do here at Florida State. Like, for example, one guy, not at the top of my list. He's not at the top. But what would a Clausen do down here?
Well,
I don't think it's the same thing as Grobe was.
No, Clausen, okay, so he's done a real good job, and he inherited a nightmare with no offensive line at Wake Forest.
Right.
Is it a big enough name? Is it a name that would create that wave of momentum that we're looking for? And you may say, well, that be damned. We don't need that necessarily right now. We need a guy that's going to put his hands in the ground and really get dirty and get this thing turned around, and who's patient, who's smart, who's proven to win with players that aren't of the level that he's going to have here. He's doing more with less, as they say, and all that. You're right, he is. But some guys are better suited for those kinds of schools and not big-time jobs like Florida State, and so you have to weigh that.
Well, yeah, I think the hard part is, do you think you can get from where we are to where we want to be, which is in the national title chase, where we are, pissed off that we're number 5 in the college football playoff rankings after, the initial release. Can we do that in one move, or is it going to take 2? Do you need to become a development program before you become a program that can swing with Clemson, Alabama, and Ohio State, Georgia? We can swing for the fences with any recruit. We can win any game, anywhere, anytime. Can you do it in one move, or can you do it in 2? Because if you're trying to do it in one move, like you're talking about, the pool, I mean, Urban Meyer would have to be in that pool. I don't want him, and we're not going to go after him. But if you're trying to do this thing and flip it overnight, there aren't that many guys that you have a good hope that they're going to get it done.
or a strong belief that they'll get it done overnight. Yeah, no, I don't know that this is an overnight process, even for the biggest of names. I don't know. I mean,
so do you need to become a development program and get the most out of what you got, so then at some point you can push yourself over the top with the next hire in 3 to 5 years?
I want extreme organization. I want a guy who can build. I want a guy who instills not just and I don't want to make this sound like, because here's one thing. Look, when you got to be careful in the way that you talk about what went wrong at Florida State, because there are labels that you place on people that can be stereotypical, or they can be ill-perceived, and that's not what you mean. But when I talk about disorganization, I've said before that I think Coach Taggart was let down by his football operations folks and some of the coaches that he brought with him, people that he brought in. And I don't know that I mean, that loyalty, I think, ended up hurting him, okay? But
decisions he made, too. I mean, it's not like,
Oh, without question.
Yeah.
No. Listen, I'm okay with the firing. That tells you everything you need to know.
Right.
So
it could be both, that he let us down and his people let him down.
Yeah, without question. Yeah. Well, and I think ultimately these are the lessons that one learns when things don't work out. And I mean, listen, I read Bill Belichick's book years and years ago, Education of a Coach, and the conversation in there it centered around his time in Cleveland at the beginning and how he made mistakes that at the time he didn't see, and when he was let go, he was very frustrated. There were a lot of factors, but he was very frustrated. When he got that next opportunity, he kind of took a look back on the things that he did right at Cleveland and things he did wrong, and he was better able to see it. He was better able to say, I really made a mistake here, and I shouldn't have handled this person this way, and I probably was a bit rough around the edges over here, and I wasn't as organized in this area that I needed to be. I mean, you learn from your mistakes as you go through the ranks in any really profession, right? And Willie will learn a lot from what happened here. I really hope that's true, and I hope that he goes on and does well somewhere. But what you have is a situation where the next person has to come in, and from the bottom up, everybody has got to be on the same page. The attention to detail has got to be there. All of the little things add up to a big thing, and not all those little things were being done. And can you identify that candidate that is going to do that? The problem is there are a couple of candidates like that out there, but don't have head coaching experience. Tony Elliott is that guy. He is a guy that is an extreme disciplinarian, a guy that is again, he was an engineer, is very smart, very focused, very, very organized. Everybody says that about him. You could just listen to him talk, and you can see it, you can hear it. But would we take a flyer on a young guy who's never been a head coach?
Right, yeah, and how would he react to that deal? And, listen, when you don't have Deshaun Watson hell, we'd take Kelly Bryant right now. But,
yes.
You don't have Lawrence.
Whom he recruited.
I understand, but you got to do that by yourself, and you got to beat Dabo because you help build the cachet that you're going to have to go beat.
Mm-hmm.
While we are down in the
where
dumps.
the bodies are buried, though. That's good. If you bring him in, you know where the stuff is.
Not saying that it wouldn't be a good hire. I'm just saying that, yes, what you're talking about he's taken a huge step up. How you react to a situation like this with adversity hitting you right in the face constantly before you even start.
Yeah, and, it's funny because I talk about who's the guy that creates a wave of momentum, who's the guy that turns this around almost immediately. Well, listen, this depends on what you mean immediately. Are we moving in the right direction if we hire this guy, and here are the reasons why? As far as ticket sales go, like if you're just factoring that stuff in, hey, it's going to be a while. Short of getting Bob Stoops and only Bob Stoops, I don't think you're going to turn around ticket sales overnight. That ain't happening. First of all, that stadium and our geography and all of that is in play here. Ticket sales are down across the board in college football. So the days of 90,000, 83,000 here, all that's gone at a lot of places. And certainly it is here. And I think that what's more realistic is they continue to make adjustments to that stadium, and there's still more to come in the future, that you should probably whittle that down to, again, 70,000, 67,000, somewhere in there.
It's in the low to mid-70s currently, yeah.
But yeah. I would get it down to, 65,000, somewhere in there.
You could put some pressure on the demand, right?
Yes,
yeah.
But also wider chairbacks and all that other stuff that they're planning on doing down the line. They've been planning on doing that. But the people aren't all coming back right away. We've been down for a few years. They're not all coming back tomorrow when you announce this next coach. I mean, I think you would probably see the biggest uptick in those sales with a name like Bob Stoops because he's a proven commodity, has won a national championship, and everybody knows who he is. People don't know who – I mean, even if you hired a guy like Matt Campbell who's got a great coaching track record and has done good things, he's done good things at Iowa State. Nobody knows who he is. I mean, you and I do, but – I mean, the fan base would be like, well, Matt Campbell? Well,
right.
Okay.
Yeah, the casual fan doesn't get fired up when Matt Campbell runs out of the tunnel.
Now, I like
They're
Matt
hopeful,
Campbell.
but
I mean, I like Matt Campbell as a potential hire, but anyhow, I don't think he's selling a bunch of tickets. I don't think that if listen, if you announce Tony Elliott, a lot of people would, A, be nervous because he's never been a head coach, and B, they don't know who he is other than, they hear us talking about his resume right now. But they've not seen him. They've never had interactions with him. They haven't seen him on the big stage, so they don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's a good hire.
Yeah.
But that too is not going to turn ticket sales around. Venables might. If you were able to wrangle him in and get him here, I don't think that's going to happen. But okay.
I would be excited for the defense. I don't know if I'd be excited, overall.
I would want to know who he's going to hire as his OC, and I'd want to know what that looks like.
Is he a killer on the trail? I mean, I know what the reputation says, but, does he know how to – that's the hard part is you get back to the fundamental questions. Does he know how to build a staff? I know he knows how to coach defense, and he knows how to advance scout. He knows how to develop players.
Certainly he's been a part of two major programs that had a ton of success and were really well run, Oklahoma being one of them, and, of course, Clemson. So I would think he'd had plenty of examples to draw from, but, yes, I mean, you're right. He's never had to do it.
I mean, if it's Bob, I think – if it's Bob and he gets to the press conference here in Tallahassee and he says, bear with me, people would listen and they'd still buy tickets. They'd believe that message. But if it's Tony Elliott, if it's Matt Campbell who says, bear with me, buy tickets. I don't know that they do. Like, they would for Bob, though. And the problem is, if you're looking at the non-conference slate, I mean, listen, next year's schedule, you got it's West Virginia. They're not that great this year, but you got West Virginia neutral site. Then you got to travel to Boise, and then in the near future, I'm assuming they're going to confirm this deal. Maybe they're going to pull it off the table because we're rebuilding. Mm-hmm. But you've got LSU for 2 in the very near future. Then you got Alabama for 2, and then you got Georgia for 2. So we got to get our stuff together to be able to play ball with these guys, whoever the coach is going to be.
Right about now, we got to get our stuff together so we can play ball with the likes of Virginia, Wake Forest, Miami, Boston College.
I mean, you're staring at a bunch of 6-win seasons unless you get this right.
I'm not even worrying about Alabama and Georgia and LSU and those potential series. We also know how quickly college football can flip. I mean, I'm reminded of that whenever I'm in my deepest, darkest lull, whenever it is that I'm sitting around staring off into the distance thinking, we're not going to be any good for, 5 years. You start thinking about things and you add them up. Well, let's see here. Let's take the inventory. We still aren't going to have an offensive line next year. It's not like this thing is just brimming with talent everywhere. I mean, we're a little bit behind some of the better teams in this conference, even not named Clemson, in terms of talent. And so you're kind of going through the checklist of things that you're going to have to get back to where you want to be.
And the phrase "better teams in this conference this year,"
right,
Jeez.
Of which we're not one. So there you go. You start to think that, and you get very quickly. It adds up to being in a dark place. But then I'm reminded again that if you do get it right, if you get the right guy and he inspires, and he's a leader, and he's able to kind of not only rectify some of the behind the scenes stuff that we've alluded to, but he's dynamic in the vision that he sells. We've watched programs go from being absolutely nothing to, oh my gosh, look what so and so is doing at name your school. Matt Campbell at Iowa State. What's going on over there, right? These things happen all the time. Usually they're from people you've never heard of. Like, who the hell is that guy? And then all of a sudden he's somebody. But he wasn't anybody before he turned it around at Appalachian State or wherever it was.
Utah for Old Irby.
That's right. And all of a sudden you're out there looking around going, look at this guy. This son of a bitch can coach. He's due for a big job. Well, that guy's out there. I guarantee you he is. Can you find him? Can you find that guy? And what's that process look? What's that process look like? We're not going to know that. What I'm doing right now is holding my breath because whether it's Bob Stoops or it's Tony Elliott or it's somebody in between, we're not going to be part of the interview process. We're not going to be a fly on the wall to know what's being asked and what the direction is and what the vision is and what are the long-term plans or any of those things. So My concern is that they screw up the search, that they screw up the interview process, that they don't vet things properly. And I don't, that's what I'm worried about.
Is that an iceberg or is it the pearly gates of football heaven? I just can't tell in the distance.
Oh, man. Full steam ahead. No, not if it's an iceberg. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
It's right here. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
And enjoy giveaways, contests, and more.
The Seminoles have it. Another #1 is done.
Check out our next Sports Monster watch party next Wednesday night for the season opener against Pitt.
Lane's Medical Shop has all of your home medical needs. They carry home oxygen, hospital beds, nebulizers, walkers, wheelchairs, orthotics, diabetic shoes, and all sleep apnea supplies. Lane's also has a weight loss clinic in-house, no appointment necessary, including B12 injections and any prescriptions necessary with the lowest prices around, and delivers to Tallahassee in South Georgia. Located only 40 miles from Tallahassee, go see Blake today, 210 West Main Street, Colquitt, Georgia, 229-758-9111.
AAA Tree Experts and Landscaping has been a Tallahassee staple for over 35 years. But did you know they now offer holiday lighting? AAA holiday lighting services include design consultation, setup, and takedown maintenance and lighting storage. Call them today for all your outdoor holiday lighting needs. 850-385-3319 or visit them online at AAATreeExperts.net. AAA Tree Experts and Landscaping, and now holiday lighting.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
Are you starting a new business or expanding your business? Looking for the right general contractor to assist you with the tenant space build-out? Look no further. From restaurant to retail, we have the experience to work with you. At T-Spark Enterprises, we are ready to be a part of your vision and build a space that exceeds your expectations. Whether you're looking for design build or build from your own design, give us a call today for a free consultation. As the owner of T-Spark Enterprises, I guarantee when it comes to your business space, we only provide picture-perfect results.
Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CGC 1525336.
Hey, Jeff, what's going on, man?
Hello, Eddie. How the heck are you, buddy?
I'm okay. I guess we got to do this commercial.
Time for the bantering to begin.
Yeah, but you know what, Jeff? I want something different now.
You don't want to banter anymore.
I enjoy the banter. I do. But I want theme music, Jeff. Gordo's needs theme music.
Gordo's, the restaurant, the delicious food and the people and the atmosphere. Gordo's, not you personally, but Gordo's.
Yes,
I like
Gordo's,
that.
Not me. I mean, of course, I would love to have people following me around playing music all the time.
Especially at Gordo's.
It's always in my head. But I need something for Gordo's. I need to have something special, something that, you know, heck, the King of the Hill has his own theme music. The Kids in the Hall. Why not me? Why not Gordo's?
Why not Gordo's? All right, I guess I'm going to be looking for some theme music.
You mean you're going to have Tom looking for some theme music?
Yeah, I heard that.
Yep, get on it, Tommy. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
This hour of the Jeff Cameron Show is brought to you by Jerry's Cigar Shop, 2810 Shara Road and 2910 Cary Forest Parkway. Online at jerrycigarshop.com.
The Greater Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce would like to recognize their newest members.
Hi, I'm Corey Melton, the Vice President of Membership, and I'm proud on behalf of the Chamber to welcome our newest members from October. Affiliated Engineers Southeast, Avcon, Brett Thompson Financial Group of Raymond James, Capital City Consulting, Capital Management Group, Children's Home Society of Florida, Daniel Taylor Consulting, De Novo Agency, Doctor's Diet Program of Florida, Equality Florida, Franklin's HVAC, Eluso, Noli Data Science, Leon Screening and Repair, Lisa's Paint and Body Shop, Ma's Diner, Massage Green Spa, Monteballo and Associates, Pax Properties, Phipps Reporting, Rally Point Financial, Rise Up Studio Architecture, Sage Restaurant, Shermer Pecans, Serve Pro of Central Tallahassee, Smith, Bryan and Myers, Sweet Blue, Tallahassee Classical School, the Advocacy Group at Cardenas Partners, United Partners for Human Services, Volunteer Florida, and the Weingartner Law Firm.
The Chamber is proud to support over 1,400 local businesses representing over 60,000 employees. For information on how your business can be a part of the Greater Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce, contact Corey Melton at 850-521-3104.
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Florida State basketball tonight, the Hardwood at Pitt. All right. Let's welcome back college basketball. Florida State, off of a Sweet 16 run a year ago, an Elite 8 run the year before that, a second-round run into the tournament the year before that. That is to say, back-to-back-to-back seasons of significance, teams of significance. Will this one be amongst those? Well, I think ultimately the answer is yes, but I think they start slow. I've talked about that an awful lot. It'll be intriguing to see the process play out. Leonard Hamilton is a stickler to, what he does, and he's going to learn about his players in the way that he wants to. Sometimes maybe not the way we want him to, but the way that he has always done it. So you'll see typically a rather large rotation of players. I wonder if that is limited in a way that we're not accustomed to, just because he doesn't have the luxury of that kind of quality depth that he's had for seemingly years now, right? It's just player after player coming off that bench, but they don't have as many guys that I think they can rely on right now. Certainly they don't, as they have had in previous seasons, last year, for example. Now, it may take time for us to find out who exactly we are, and the difference is this year you don't get to ease on into it. You start right off the bat with conference play. We know that the conference obviously have added on the number of games that are being played this year because of basically the rollout of the ACC network. Let's just admit it. That's exactly what this is. And this is a Pitt team that we're going to end up having to play twice because of the addition of the extra games. The expanded 20-game ACC schedule is what I'm alluding to. And so we'll get Pitt, and we'll also get Clemson, Miami, Louisville, Notre Dame, and Virginia a couple of times. So that's something to look at there. This will be the first of two against them. And then I also think that while we've got some things you can fall back on, and certainly you do in Trent and Devin, both really talented guys. Trent will be the unquestioned leader of this team. We'll see where MJ Walker is from a health standpoint tonight, but obviously he is also a seasoned veteran. But you had a heartbeat like Terrence Mann a year ago. You really did. You had a guy that was your everything in that regard. They all looked to him, rallied around him. He did everything extremely well. On nights that you needed buckets, he got you buckets. On nights you needed rebounds, he got you rebounds. On nights that you needed defensive tenacity, he gave you that. Whatever it might be, whatever that game required, Terrence Mann found it and did it. But you don't have him. You don't have Phil Kofer. You don't have Kabengele on down the list of important figures, not only to the production offensively and defensively, rebounds, etc., but also to the makeup of a team. And in basketball, that makeup really matters. I sometimes think it's overrated in other games. For example, in baseball, I don't know that camaraderie has to be there. It's nice if it's there. It's probably more helpful than not. But there have been baseball teams in the annals of the sport that absolutely hated each other and went on to win the World Series. Reggie Jackson was on like 3 of them. What's that tell you about Reggie Jackson? But anyhow, that said, there have been plenty of teams that literally just did not like being around each other, but it was a collection of such talented guys that it didn't really matter that they didn't want to hang out and go to dinner together and sing Kumbaya. They just went out and played. But in basketball, I think it is important. I think it's important to have that, especially college basketball. So we'll see how quickly this group comes together, plays off of each other, inspired by each other, and plays for one another. Hamilton's really good. Coach Hamilton and his staff do a great job of engendering that, partly because they are unwavering in their rules. You want to talk about how to run a program. Leonard Hamilton's the guy to talk to about how to run a program. And I can tell you that every one of the coaches at Florida State look up to and admire the way that Leonard Hamilton sticks to his principles. Players don't always love it, but they'll abide by it. You don't have to love me, but you will respect me type thing. That's Leonard Hamilton in a nutshell. Eventually they grow to love him because of it. But it's not always an easy process to watch play out. We've seen some guys fall through the cracks. We've seen some guys slow to come around on the uptake. And I'm going to be very intrigued to see how quickly this one gets there.
Well, for me, it's hard to know these first two games because you're facing, game competition, if you will, an ACC opponent. Pitt, it's on the road. I feel a lot better about this game, obviously, if it was here at the TLC Double C.
You're damn right. We don't lose here. That's why.
Quite good here.
Yeah.
And then Florida is much more veteran-laden than we are, and they've got Blackshear down from Virginia Tech, which makes them all the more dangerous. He's in the running for an outside shot, if you believe Jay Billis and others, Player of the Year honors. It's just there's so much going on with the injuries and then the inexperience that I don't know what to make of the rotation I see tonight. For what reason does player X run out there for 12 or 20 minutes? For what reason does player Y only play 8 to 15 minutes? Things like that. Do we have injuries prohibiting us from rotating the way we want to? Does Coach Ham shrink the bench because we're playing two good opponents this week, an ACC team and then Florida on Sunday? It's just hard to know the approach he wants to take. I know what the rubric says or the template is year after year. That's we're going to play a lot of guys, and it's going to drive you nuts in November and December, but it's going to pay off when we get down the stretch in ACC play. You can afford these couple of losses if you do what you're supposed to do on the back end. The strength of the schedule is going to bring up your net ranking to a place that's pretty healthy by the end of the season, but it would be really valuable to get a win on the road at Pitt tonight because this is not a Pitt squad that's picked to finish last in the ACC. If they have a good year, a year above their own expectations, they might be on the bubble themselves. So if you can get this one tonight, it'd be a nice feather in your cap before you get into what is honestly a pretty tough November and December slate.
Think about how sorry Pitt was a year ago, 3-15 in the ACC, and yet 2 of their 3 wins were over Florida State and Louisville. Okay. Basketball's a weird game, man, and it happened early in the season, and then everybody kind of found themselves and figured out what's what, and that included us, Louisville, and others. And unfortunately for Pitt, oh, yeah, we are who we have been, which is not very good. We fooled you for a couple of games, but we're back to being terrible. We'll see if Capel's got it moving in the right direction. They do return 4 of their 5 starters from a year ago and a lot of sophomore play here. You would expect to see a step forward. I sure hope not. The Ryan Murphy kid comes over as a shooter, shoots 40% from 3 as a kid that so far, when they went overseas, he led the team in scoring and shot 50% from 3. So going to have to get out on him, obviously. He's a guy that if he gets hot early, I would imagine you maybe, slip there on my way out to close.
We don't do that enough.
I'm
but
just saying.
That's one thing as a program. If we had a reputation for that, I think you'd be proud.
Oh, buddy.
I think you'd have a shirt that says "whoops" and it just shows a 3-point line.
I had a reputation for it, just saying.
And like the whoops could be a green light traffic signal. Whoops.
Lost my footing into your crotch.
But the problem, I think the problem for Ham is not just about health. He clearly is. He'll always tell you, even probably on the precipice of making the NCAA tournament, we're nowhere close to where we need to be or to where we want to be. This is not a fully realized team. But listening to him after the exhibition games and the little press conferences he holds there, the informal ones, he's not thrilled about the way we're playing defense. So I want to see what that actually looks like against an ACC opponent tonight.
I think Ham's funny. You're right. He's not thrilled with the way we're playing defense. And I don't know how quickly he's going to be thrilled because he's got some guys that got to figure this out. And it's going to take, maybe 7 to 10 games, bare minimum. I think he's going to have some long nights. I think I don't know if tonight's one, but I think he's going to have some long nights where you kind of left scratching your head going, what was that? That was terrible. We lost by 18 tonight against that group. I think it's possible.
Yes, so this would be the caution. Listen, if they win tonight, then they certainly can. Pitt is still Pitt.
Well, and also don't underestimate now. We're not trying to pour mouth. I mean, a very healthy Trent Forrest, which we haven't seen in over a year, does currently exist. This version of Trent Forrest is that guy that a lot of people forgot about. And you'll see moments in tonight's game, I'm sure of it, where he explodes around the basket, finishes stronger than you saw a year ago or only in flashes a year ago. This is a guy that's lost weight, is stronger, is thinner, and obviously more explosive now that his lower extremities are healthy. He's, his knees and feet and all that stuff, ankles. He's had all kinds of issues over the last year and a half. All right, let's go. Watching that guy, he could be the most talented guy in the floor tonight.
Right. It's not a preemptive excuse. You just look at the sheer production that we've lost year to year. There are reasons that if we have growing pains and they are apparent and they spook you a little bit because it seems like we're not playing up to the standard that we've shown the last few seasons, there are real reasons, and it's not just to do with inexperience and roster turnover. It's also to do with health. They've got health issues. So we'll see how many minutes guys are able to play tonight.
Should mention, and I didn't at the outset because we went right into coaching search talk and what Florida State's doing. And by the way, our coaching search talk is brought to you by Lane's Medical Shop with locations in Colquitt and Blakely. Lane's Medical Shop offers all your medical supply needs. They'll even deliver to you with emergency service available. Lane's Medical Shop, 229-308-5811. I want to come back and talk some more about coaching stuff here in a second. I just wanted to get that in because they've been nice enough to jump on board here and add to the bottom line. But let me say this.
That's a good get.
Yeah. Let me say this, that obviously what we suspected to be true we haven't even talked about, which is Levitt's role. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this. It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
And coaches at Orange Theory Fitness. To learn more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
I'm Michael Blank, attorney with the law office of Jose Fernandez. If you've been in an accident, I know this can be a scary and confusing time. Our firm specializes in handling all types of accident and injury cases. Let us guide you through the process and get you the compensation you deserve. Call 855-HOSE-305 to make an appointment for your free consultation today. If you can't come to us, we can come to you, day or night. Call us now, 855-HOSE-305, the law office of Jose Fernandez. We don't get paid unless you do. Offices, Tallahassee, Miami. Se habla español. JRFinjury.com.
Ho, ho, ho! The holidays are here, and the Florida Lottery has the must-get gifts of the season. Holiday Luck Scratch-Offs. They offer over 21 million winning tickets and more than $483 million in cash prizes. Wow! These are great!
Santa, where are you going?
Gotta get one!
Holiday Luck Scratch-Offs. Pretty much everyone's gonna want them. The Florida Lottery. It's your ticket.
Claim it!
Must be 18 or older to play. Play responsibly.
As sports fans, we all know this is the best time of the year. And the best places to catch all the action are at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill and 7th Hill Tap Room. If you're a fan of an action-packed environment, the Corner Pocket is the place to be. Happy hour specials every day, including all day on Sundays, with sports in HD everywhere you look. For location hours and menu, head to cptallybar.com. Whether you're feeling the upstairs at the Corner Pocket or lounging down at the 7th Hill Tap Room, your game day is always covered. 2475 Appalachia Parkway, right next to Earth Fair.
As the leaves are falling, so are the DeWalt prices at Cornerstone Tool and Fastener. The Build Your Own DeWalt Kit promotion is back. Buy 2 select bare tools and get a DeWalt starter kit at no charge. That's 2 5-amp-hour batteries and charger. And there's more. Purchase a DeWalt drill and impact kit and get an additional 5-amp-hour battery and a free bare tool. Choose from impacts, drills, grinders, and more. That's 3 tools and 3 5-amp-hour batteries exclusively at Cornerstone. 1110 Stuckey Ave and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Tallahassee location open on Saturdays from 8 a.m. until noon.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool. You can put him to the test.
People always appreciate it when you deliver on a promise and go the extra mile. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air, our team would treat you like you would want to be treated. Zero interest financing and low monthly payments are available when you're approved for the Carrier credit card. Apply at baranoac.com. Florida license number CAC 1816186.
Looking for a bit of cowboy flavor? Introducing Hardee's Southwest Patty Melt. A hearty sandwich with all the taste of the great American Southwest. We're talking a hotter, juicier, thick burger made with 100% black Angus beef, pepper jack cheese, zesty Santa Fe sauce, and enough pickled jalapenos to give it a kick. If it got any more authentic, we'd have to serve it with a cactus and a side of tumbleweeds. The Southwest Patty Melt. Now at Hardee's. Available for a limited time after regular breakfast hours at participating Hardee's. Hotter and juicier beef patty as compared to the Hardee's original beef patty.
At Sport Clips Haircuts, we're on a mission to help our veterans with their education. In 2013, we established the VFW Sport Clips Help a Hero Scholarship Program. With the help of your generous donations, we've raised over $6 million and awarded more than 1,400 scholarships across the country. Visit Sport Clips today and help a hero. And on Veterans Day, November 11th, Sport Clips will donate an additional $1 for every haircut we give. Help us continue this honorable mission.
GT Electric is Tallahassee's premier state-certified electrical contractor. Locally owned and operated for over 20 years, GT Electric offers a variety of electrical services for residential, commercial, and industrial fields, including upgrades, repairs, replacements, and installation. GT Electric also sells and services power generators for commercial buildings, homes, and construction job sites. Call them today at 421-9002. That's 421-9002. Or stop by gtelectricfl.com.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. This is what you need to know. An increased workload for Chiefs quarterback Pat Mahomes as the team begins preparing for Sunday's game against the Titans. ESPN's Ed Werder reports this week's game has been targeted for his return from a dislocated right kneecap. On Sunday, it will be 24 days since Mahomes was injured, and the chance he re-injures himself reduced to between 10 and 20% at the 3-week mark. Coach Andy Reid said the team will see how Mahomes feels tomorrow, one day after practicing. In the absence of the reigning NFL MVP, the Chiefs 1-1 with backup Matt Moore. A credit to Reid, says ESPN's Marcus Spears.
Matt Moore obviously playing well in the absence of Pat Mahomes. But the fact that Andy Reid has this team, they're playing better on the other side of the ball. Just the calm demeanor of how he's approaching this, the ability to say we'll take it day to day when you're talking about a franchise guy that could literally change the scope of your team.
Marcus Spears. Bengals receiver A.J. Green out the first 8 games of the season with an injured ankle, expected to make his season debut against the Ravens Sunday. Colts QB Jacoby Brissett sprained MCL, limited participant at practice today. Coach Frank Reich has said the team will play it ear by ear in determining whether he plays Sunday versus the Dolphins. Indianapolis receiver T.Y. Hilton likely out with a calf injury. NBA, for the second time this season, Clippers forward Kawhi Leonard will miss a game due to load management, and it is the second time the game's on national TV. Leonard, a spectator for the matchup against reigning league MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks, 10 Eastern, ESPN TV and the ESPN app. The 2-5 Warriors, off to their worst start in 8 years, will be without D'Angelo Russell tonight against the Rockets due to a sprained ankle, and forward Draymond Green out the entire 3-game road trip with an injured finger.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Balls McWednesday, brought to you by Hobbit American Grill. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving good food to good friends for good times. Online at myhobbitonline.com.
Man, every now and then, right when we're about to get started in a segment, I'm reminded that I really would like a cup of coffee and failed to make it before we came back on. Instead, grabbed one of your LaCroix, Tom. You like these, huh?
I do. Yeah, the pack we got includes a lot of the lime flavor. Not a big fan of that one. As you can see in my refrigerator, there's a lot of the green ones. But with the grapefruit, you can't go wrong there. And the lemon, surprisingly, it's quite good as well.
I can't get it together. I took one sip and I started coughing while I asked you a question.
I had your mic killed for the first cough, but I didn't realize there'd be a second round of them.
It rallied back on me. So I grabbed the one you like and left you with nothing but the lime. I did not know that it was hated. I thought you had just freshly restocked until I had already taken this.
No, feel free. You can chug the limes. You can shotgun them. Just put a car key in there and shotgun the heck out of that
Sorry
LaCroix.
if I'm a little wired today, folks. I've been shotgunning LaCroix. There's no calories, no sugar, no caffeine, no nothing.
The lime one tastes like Fruit Loops. It's got a Fruit Loops aftertaste. I was never a big fan of the Fruit Loops cereal.
Never liked Fruit Loops. Yeah. Never understood how Fruit Loops sustained itself. I think, man, they must sell a lot of Fruit Loops, but they're not any good. Not any good. And people, could not stop when they first came out, because I remember when they first came out, they could not stop talking about Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And while I like Cinnamon Toast Crunch just fine, it is not what people will tell you it is. It's not. It's no Golden Grahams.
Is that the one that you and Millar debate about, is Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
Probably.
Yeah.
He probably likes that.
That's trash.
Well, they're not Golden Grahams.
Golden
Grahams are where it's
solid,
at.
Man.
Solid as a rock.
Yeah.
Always. I was looking at the ACC preview from a gambling standpoint during the break, just trying to get over on these early lines. If you had Louisville -6 last night, you had no problem. That was a beatdown.
Yeah.
At one point, you probably got a little nervous, though, went from being 32 to 14, and you're going, what's going on here? But you held. You're all right. All right, so I teased before we went to break that Florida State, from a coaching standpoint, did add to the staff, sort of. Jim Leavitt is now on the field, and he will be the guy on the defensive side of the football to be added to the staff on field day-to-day coaching as opposed to being an analyst. That ought to make for a unique situation.
It'll be interesting to see how involved he is on the sidelines on Saturday. Hopefully the TV crew is not frozen to the bone and indifferent about a Boston College-Florida State game that will be attended by 75 people, 40 of which are Noles. But if they do care, I would like to see how much Jim is perhaps on the horn before every play, how much he's signaling in, I don't know, pre-snap changes, all that stuff. That is part of the fun of watching this football team in the unfun situation that is the 2019 campaign.
42 degrees on Saturday.
Temperature went up. They thought it was going to be 32, 33.
42, somewhere in there. I talked to my niece last night. She's at Boston University now, and so she weighed in, said hello, and talked about how cold she's been lately because they did have snow, and it was in the 20s, in the 30s. So already getting a rude awakening from having been in Washington, D.C., but mostly Florida all her life. Then there you go. You get a little Boston for you in early November.
She going up to the game on Saturday? It's a big one.
I didn't ask her. I doubt it. She's
3-0 Dell. It's on the line, man.
Hey, listen. Odell is a guy that I think that the players will rally around, and, they certainly did last time. It was a different set of circumstances when he took over the previous time. They were the ones left at the altar. Their coach had walked out of the room and left them behind, and Odell had to kind of pick up the pieces and get guys to rally around the program and around his passion for said program. And that will ring true again, I think, for many of these kids, but I don't know about all, because some of those guys were Willie guys. And so I don't know if this works again. I'm rooting for it too. I did say again earlier in the week that had they made no move whatsoever, I think we would have gone up there and walked through that Boston College game and gotten beat. Now I don't know what to anticipate. I don't know what we're going to see on Saturday. Who's going to come out and what are they going to look like? Look, defensively, this is about want to. BC's going to line up and run the ball downhill. And they're going to see whether or not you want to tackle 240-pound running backs, 250-pound running backs. They got two of them. Both are talented. This is what they do now. And there have been a couple teams so far in the last 3 weeks that have decided no moss early on. They didn't want any part of it. And that's a recipe to get run out the building and give up over 400 yards rushing. Certainly Syracuse didn't have any desire to be there. BC turned it over early, and then that gave early points to Syracuse. And you thought, okay, well, this is going to be an interesting game. And the next thing you know, ass beaten. 44 points in the first half. 44 points in the first half for Boston College. They ran for nearly 500 yards. They barely ever threw the football because they weren't required to. Florida State needs to make them throw the football. They don't have their starting quarterback, lost due to injury. They don't want to throw it. Their guy can't throw it, but they'll be content to run it all day long if you're not going to get in there and play discipline, adhere to your run fits, sacrifice, tackle. I mean, I don't know, man. That's you're right. It doesn't look good on the surface when you see 42 and a team that wants to run the ball right at you against a team with limited depth on the defensive line, subpar linebacker play. In the midst of going through a coaching search, I just don't know.
And you have now broken down the Boston College game more than we broke down the Miami game because this week has been about anything but the on-the-field product, other than what it did in terms of shaking up the program.
Yeah, well, in many ways, it saved us. I did not want to have to talk about the performance on Saturday because I'm telling you, that was stunningly bad. The game plan itself was stunningly bad. I just don't know how they looked at that matchup and said, this is the route we're going to go. And, it's a damn shame that they didn't have Cam for a lot of the reps during the week in practice, and so they couldn't go full bore wild Cam because of the toe injury we found out about later. But they certainly could have lined him up there a lot more. It was successful when they did and had him throw out of it. What a nightmare.
It was open the time we tried it.
It was a nightmare. That whole situation, which, again, it's been put on the back burner because of what ended up happening and Florida State deciding to move on, and now that's really going to consume our daily looks at the internet. I mean, Florida State fans have spent more time on social media latching on to any kernel of perceived insight for the coaching hire. And I'm here to tell you, man, right now, there's not a lot out there. It's very quiet. It's going to be that way for a few days.
Colonel? That's Bob Stoops' nickname that his brothers gave him.
He's given us the hints. I always love Cameron for that.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this. It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Generous military discount program. During the Veterans Day week, Kraft will guarantee that you get up to $5,000 off any new car in our lot with no payment until next year. We call it Operation Appreciation. And the Kraft brothers take it one step further, because to us, it's a lot more than just another day off from work. Every fireman, every policeman, every veteran, Kraft, Nissan, and Infiniti want to help you help your family. Deployed overseas, you still get privileged military pricing and the ability to order for convenient stateside delivery. And at the end of the week, the Kraft brothers will make another contribution to the Wounded Warrior Project. Respect for every man and woman who chooses to protect our lives and our liberties. Kraft Nissan and Infiniti of Tallahassee, thank you for your service.
A Kraft Brothers dealership.
This hour of the Jeff Cameron Show is brought to you by Jerry's Cigar Shop, 2810 Shara Road and 2910 Cary Forest Parkway. Online at jerrycigarshop.com.
Hey, win cash courtesy of Pepsi?
Sure did.
Who you gonna gift it to?
Excuse me?
It does say gift it forward with Pepsi. And it's the season of giving.
I'm not sure. My sister?
Whatever. Gift it forward with Pepsi. For your chance to win, see specially marked 12-packs at your local retailer. Or learn more and see official rules at pepsi.com/giftitforward.
No purchase necessary. Subject to official rules. Must be 18 or older and an official U.S. resident to participate. Void where prohibited.
Not all law firms are equal. So here's why Fonville Lewis Mesher McConaughey was recently voted Tallahassee's best law firm. First, we only take real cases. If your car was barely bumped and you think you're going to get rich, we're not the firm for you. We limit our practice to serious cases with legitimate claims. Second, we only take cases involving real injuries. If you know you aren't hurt, but think you can fool your way into a quick settlement, we're not the firm for you. We encourage our clients to heal up and get better, not sit on the couch and expect a windfall. Third, we don't want clients who are just in it for the money. If the very first thing you think of after getting hurt is calling pound something or other on your cell phone instead of calling 911, we're not the firm for you. Your health should always come first. And finally, we won't blow smoke about a big money outcome just to get your case. Other firms overpromise and underdeliver. Our only promise is that we'll work harder than anyone to get you the best result. Remember, the law firm you have representing you makes all the difference, so don't settle for less. Call Fonville, Lewis, Messer, McConaughey, and let us put our reputation to work for you.
Thursdays are Friday Eve, and that's a reason to celebrate. No matter what you're looking for, they've got you covered every Thursday down in College Town. Centrale offers 50% off select pizzas all day, every Thursday. Or you can stop by Township for Taco Thursday. $2 house tacos, $2. Madison Social offers the Social Agreement. You and a buddy can split one order of wings, 2 Madso burgers, 2 bourbons, 2 proof Madison Socials, all for just $40. See what they did there? And don't worry about parking. Plenty of spaces available in the parking deck or surrounding lots. Check out all the Thursday College Town deals right now on ThursdaysInCollegetown.com.
Who's ready for the best wings in Tally and locally brewed beers? Hobbit American Grill is the place to be. They've been voted Tally's best wings again in 2018. Hobbit offers Bingo Mondays, happy hour all day Fridays with craft beers on tap from all the local breweries. And the Hobbit is your home for all the UFC fights with plenty of high-def TVs for everyone. Be on the lookout for the food truck coming soon with the best lip-smacking wings in town. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving great food to great friends for good times. For info on their hours and 3 locations, visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
One of my favorite things about being a member at Orange Theory Fitness is the sense of community. Initially, after taking the tour and seeing the state-of-the-art equipment, I was intrigued. I became convinced even once I researched the science-backed, technology-tracked, coach-inspired workouts, all of that. But what I didn't count on was the support, the sense of camaraderie shown by the members and the coaches. You realize pretty quickly you're not alone. And when you're pushing yourself through barriers and attempting to be your personal best, you can use all the help you can get. And it's there. It's amongst the members and coaches at Orange Theory Fitness. To learn more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com. Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Driving every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. This is what you need to know. An increased workload for Chiefs quarterback Pat Mahomes as the team begins preparing for Sunday's game against the Titans. ESPN's Ed Werder reports this week's game has been targeted for his return from a dislocated right kneecap. On Sunday, it will be 24 days since Mahomes was injured, and the chance he re-injures himself reduced to between 10 and 20% at the 3-week mark. Coach Andy Reid said the team will see how Mahomes feels tomorrow, one day after practicing. In the absence of the reigning NFL MVP, the Chiefs 1-1 with backup Matt Moore. A credit to Reid, says ESPN's Marcus Spears.
Matt Moore obviously playing well in the absence of Pat Mahomes. But the fact that Andy Reid has this team, they're playing better on the other side of the ball. Just the calm demeanor of how he's approaching this, the ability to say we'll take it day to day when you're talking about a franchise guy that could literally change the scope of your team.
Marcus Spears. Bengals receiver A.J. Green out the first 8 games of the season with an injured ankle, expected to make his season debut against the Ravens Sunday. Colts QB Jacoby Brissett sprained MCL, limited participant at practice today. Coach Frank Reich has said the team will play it ear by ear in determining whether he plays Sunday versus the Dolphins. Indianapolis receiver T.Y. Hilton likely out with a calf injury. NBA, for the second time this season, Clippers forward Kawhi Leonard will miss a game due to load management, and it is the second time the game's on national TV. Leonard, a spectator for the matchup against reigning league MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks, 10 Eastern, ESPN TV and the ESPN app. The 2-5 Warriors, off to their worst start in 8 years, will be without D'Angelo Russell tonight against the Rockets due to a sprained ankle, and forward Draymond Green out the entire 3-game road trip with an injured finger.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Balls McWednesday, brought to you by Hobbit American Grill. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving good food to good friends for good times. Online at myhobbitonline.com.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Happy Balls McWednesday. Appreciate you tuning on in. Got to start the hour by saying thanks to my man Bill from the Corner Pocket. That's a true friend right there. He heard my cries, and he stopped by the pan, and he got me a cup of coffee.
So, yeah, I was just about to start the top of the hour with the Sports Center. I'm watching the break fire, and I get a text, coffee outside. I'm like, coffee outside?
Yeah.
So I open the door, and I look out and see if there's anything on the ground, and he's walking up the steps. He's like, here you go. Somebody's in need.
Yeah, man. That's a dear friend right there on his way into the CP to stop after hearing that I desperately needed coffee today. I did. This is a late coffee day. Now, listen, I can drink coffee at 10 o'clock at night. I shouldn't, but I can. I love it. But today I'm a little run down by the coaching search, Tom. I'm just a little bleary-eyed. I've done my due diligence. I chase the leads. I call the people. I'm trying to figure out what's what. I don't want to get duped. I don't want to lead with something dumb. So, you gotta call. You gotta track things to their logical conclusion and find out where we're at. And next thing you know, you're up late and you're going, this was a waste of 6 hours.
Right. It's not to be confused with the coach's poll, because when the coach's poll comes out,
hey,
you're very, everybody says football season's here. Here it is.
Oh, my goodness.
But then when the coaching search happens, it's, it's kind of like the signing day phenomenon where you're saying, wait a minute, he's got second thoughts. Oh, God. F5, hit the refresh button. Let's make sure everything's A-okay here. Or you're getting phone calls saying, I don't know, man. Dabo came in and he made a phone call last night. Except this one determines kind of the future of your program for the next 3 to 5 years. So it's an important one to be abreast of.
It is. And you know what else it did allow me to do, which was ignore, this stupid charade that every year gets unveiled and people flip out about. I get it. I mean, there's often a reason to be angry about the committee and the rankings. And, there are a lot of inconsistencies every time they're first unveiled. You sit back and you go, well, that's kind of strange. If that's true, why is this team here and that team there? I know. But I didn't spend hardly any time with that yesterday. I laughed when I began to see the tweets roll in. If you go back and you think about Georgia's loss, for example, and then you think about the way that Clemson is penalized for their close game against North Carolina. And, of course, you go back to it, North Carolina beat South Carolina, if I recall.
I believe so.
That is correct.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. And
Mac Brown was crying on the field. That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And anyhow, I mean, when you look at those rankings, you crack up. You're like, wait a minute. So Georgia got beat by South Carolina at home. And it's an ugly loss because that was, I think, their second-string or third-string quarterback playing for South Carolina at the time. And in some ways, to look at those rankings would suggest that got somewhat excused away, whereas you look at Clemson and, they haven't lost. And there they sit. And you go, well, what are they being penalized for? They have looked sloppy, Jeff, and they did narrowly beat North Carolina.
Yeah, there was a comment I saw. Our old friend from the ACC blog days on ESPN, Heather Dinich, is doing work with ESPN's college football playoff stuff.
She has been for a few years now, yeah.
She was on it from the get-go, and they had their conference call, right, with the members or the committee head. I forget who it is now. It doesn't matter to us because we're never in the discussion, so I know it's not Jeff Long anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer to the question about Alabama-Clemson was Alabama has just looked more dominant in our eyes. Okay, whatever.
Well, if you look at the strength of records, and it's interesting because Alabama's, if you look at the total wins on Alabama's schedule, the teams they've faced have a losing record. They'll get a pass for anything most years.
Yeah, the question becomes, the loser of LSU-Alabama, are they still ahead of Clemson? Let's find out.
Yeah, I don't get worked up over it, but the inconsistencies are maddening. It's really something that will always plague college football. I mean, it's an imperfect system, has been for a very long time. I think you could have used the old BCS computers to decide your top four. Mm-hmm. I've been saying that for many years.
Yeah, because the BCS computers towards the end did have whatever it was, 20%, 30% human element.
Yeah.
Integrated with what was people considered to be too impersonal, too calculated. They wanted to have some fallback element, human element, from the original BCS formula.
Well, and what I'm getting at is if you were going to use resumes, the reason I bring up the Alabama thing was that whenever that comes up, whenever somebody says, well, what about Alabama? They haven't really played anybody this year at all, and they haven't looked that great, but they haven't played anybody. And if we're just going to go resume to resume for right now, even though I might think Alabama is more talented and better than Penn State, their resume doesn't match up to Penn State's. They always just fall back on the eye test. In fact, I think they said something like that, right? Yeah. Well, we just think they look better. Convenient. Okay.
Oh, it's selective criteria.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it goes. And it's going to be around and round we go because you can't hear the actual debate going on in the room. And the poor chairperson has to answer for every opinion that every member has.
Well, imagine being the chairperson and you can every now and again tell people that, well, listen, arbitrarily here, we're going on the eye test. Now, in the case of Clemson, they had a real close win against North Carolina. It was not an impressive performance. We feel like they've been wildly inconsistent. Okay, well then explain Georgia's ranking because they barely beat Notre Dame, who's now looked terrible and got housed by Michigan. They actually lost a game, unlike Clemson, and to a bad South Carolina team, whom North Carolina beat. They can't do it. And they would have to fall back. I don't know what they would fall back.
Something else. Well, it's selective.
Yeah.
They have about 5 note cards in front of them, and it's like, oh, which one are you looking for?
Which one is this one?
All right, here's the Alabama answer.
Eye test.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Game control back in the day.
Resume.
Body clock.
The body clock game. I forgot about that.
That's a real factor. We have to take that into consideration. Body clock.
Is that in the bylaws there? You got that body clock game in there?
Well, I think Corey said it best last night when he pointed out on Twitter that
oh, never forget. He's been pissed about this for years.
Yes.
We were behind 3 one-loss teams.
That's correct. We're undefeated, reigning national champions in the midst of 20-plus. And even if you're not considering that, we're undefeated and they're not.
That's right.
3 teams with 1 loss ahead of us.
Yeah.
Undefeated.
Sure.
So, at least in Clemson's situation here, you've got undefeated teams in front of them. There are no ties in college football anymore. There haven't been for a long, long time. Alabama and LSU, they'll meet it out on Saturday. Ohio State, Penn State in the very near future. It's all before you, Clemson. But the problem is if you lose one,
you're done.
That is probably
They've
too
got
much.
Real problems.
Yeah.
If you're looking at the teams who have real problems, Clemson's one if they lose. And then if you're looking at teams trying to get back in who have already lost, of the 1-loss teams, Oklahoma's got real problems. Sitting down there at 9, they got real problems. That's going to be really difficult for them to get back in. I don't, Well, imagine the nightmare if Baylor pulls off that win and they've looked like they've looked all year long, but they just keep winning. And next thing you know, you're like, well, what do we do with Baylor? Because we all know Baylor's not good.
Right.
It's just bad. It's like,
yeah, I feel like the college, they wouldn't because it was Notre Dame, but if you put a blind resume in front of the committee from the 2012 Notre Dame season, they would have not let them in. No. I'm sorry, guys. I have to draw the line of common sense at some point. I understand they went undefeated. That's wonderful. And a New Year's Six Bowl they shall receive. But I'm not putting them in the field of the 4 best teams. Look at this nonsense. They've got no chance, people.
Well, right. You and I knew that, but remember that the hardest part about that was that they actually legitimately had, even though they got blown out in the championship game, they legitimately had wins that you could, like, what were we going to do, deny them the 30-13 win over Oklahoma? I mean, on the road?
Yes, Oklahoma, as it turned out, was going through a rough stage. Old Bob our friend now, potentially, was not Big Game Bob anymore, and the invincibility factor of playing in Norman was starting to wear off.
Yeah, they won 30-13 over Oklahoma in Norman. The game that we always bring up from that year was the 29-26 game against Pitt, where a kid can't make a point-blank field goal, and you're just like, are you kidding me? And these are the things that's where you'd go eye test. That year, they at the end of the year, they beat USC on the road 23-12, and that punched their ticket. Their biggest win was that OU win. They also beat Michigan that year, who was ranked in the top 20, 13-6. Hideous game. And they beat Michigan State 20-3. But they beat Stanford, who was a good Stanford team that year, 20-13. Actually, when you look at it, it's funny. If that year, and this was part of it, when the schedules came out, I remember we went, good God, Notre Dame's got to play. Now, remember, this is 2012.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there looking at it going, Notre Dame's got to play a top 10 Michigan State team, a top 20 Michigan team. They've got Miami on the schedule. By the way, that year they beat Miami 41-3. Good on you, Notre Dame. But just as an aside. But okay, so you got Miami. You're going to have to play a top 20 Stanford team, a top 10 Oklahoma team, and at the time we thought presumably a top 25 USC team. Didn't turn out that way, but that schedule on its face you thought was pretty ridiculous.
I'm looking back at that the final poll for 2012. It's not the BCS. I think it's the AP. I can't pull up the BCS that quickly, but okay, so Michigan, right? They beat them 13-6. Michigan finished 24th. They played Michigan State, who was top 10 at the time. Is that right? Michigan State was not ranked by the end of the season. USC, not
ranked at the end of the season.
Nope, not ranked at the end of the season. Oklahoma had 3 losses, but they finished 15th. So, okay. But if you're looking at that final ranking, and you look at Alabama, which finished number 1 that season, Oregon ended up in the AP finishing at 2nd. Ohio State was undefeated, but I guess that was the Jim Tressel year because they're only 12-0. Georgia would have beat them. Ohio State would have beat them that year. Florida's all the way down at 9. That team would have beat Notre Dame senseless.
Probably.
When you're talking about 6 to 8 teams that we know for a fact if they'd played Notre Dame for the championship, they would have been hoisting their own national title.
Well, the only problem with that statement is we don't know for a fact. We certainly think the evidence points in that direction.
If they didn't fumble 7 times.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, the evidence points in that direction. But you can only go on what they did with the results, and they did win all their games. And at that point, we all realized it was a free national championship. It was a free national championship for whoever could go against Notre Dame.
A&M would have won it that year. That was the Johnny Manziel year where they beat OU in the Cotton Bowl.
That team was crap. I don't know.
They went toe-to-toe with the Bammers.
That was just them running around throwing it up to Mike Evans. Is what the hell
would have been good enough to beat Notre Dame.
Maybe. I don't know. I can't give them that much. I don't know that they would have.
That's how bad that Notre Dame team was.
You've already got
Straight
the game.
Garbage.
You've got the game played in your head.
Oh.
You've got A&M up by 3 scores early on.
Alabama could have turned it over 6 times and still won the national title that night.
That was men against boys at the line of scrimmage. We all saw it in the first 10 minutes of the game. I remember going, well, we're done here.
What would the college football landscape have looked like if that kid drops the ball in Atlanta, Georgia versus Alabama? Mark Richt wins the game.
One of my favorite subjects because Mark Richt's going to win that game, which is an SEC championship, follow it up with a national championship victory, and all of a sudden, he's never at risk of losing his job at Georgia. Miami never eventually hires him. Kirby Smart never ends up in Georgia.
What does it do to the balance of power in 2013?
Yeah, the whole deal. Yeah, I know.
Alabama probably doesn't lose the kick 6 game because we see how that works. We were so motivated in 2013 because we screwed up in 12. And then Alabama's coming off a title in 12.
Certainly helped to have Jameis Winston.
Yeah, that doesn't hurt. But we also had Jameis Winston in 2014.
Well, we went undefeated in 2014.
We look like ass compared to 2013. There was a empirical difference between those two squads and the way they cared to play.
Of course. No, I'm not arguing with you. We went undefeated. I got killed for any of these seasons. Watching us now, we haven't had a quarterback.
I'd kill for 2012. It's like, all right, if we have to lose up 16. We lost up 18 this year. What the hell is a 16-point lead blown? Who cares?
Getting a sort of complete game plan with the ability to block it up. My goodness. It's been a long time, Tom.
Well, it's not going to happen this weekend.
Maybe it does. This weekend could be interesting. Oh, not the ability to block it up.
No,
they're not going to suddenly block it up. No. But they may have I'm very curious about this weekend's team. I've talked about this before. I have no idea what we're going to see. I think it would be pretty interesting if they come out and sling it around the lot and have all kinds of success. We're all just going to be like, are you kidding
if the
me?
offense
Are you
looks
kidding me?
No, I don't even want to have that conversation. If the offense comes out
and looks good.
Oh, God.
How angry, all of a sudden, all the sympathetic sort of, well, I kind of feel bad for Willie would go away. People are like, really?
Well, but it might because Syracuse was able to score in its first, 3-4 possessions against BC. So early on, the early returns might be, elevate Kendall. What are we doing? We got the guy here.
Oh, boy. Yeah, and we'll get back over this, by the way, at the current numbers there. And I'm thinking to myself, so Oklahoma, they're in trouble because Utah and Oregon play each other, and that really is the chance for the other to take that step up. They're not going to their one loss for the winner of that game is going to be better than Oklahoma's to Kansas State, so you're not going to hop them anytime soon. Probably not. No.
Chances Alabama LSU's loser this weekend still makes it in. Pretty good. Play the NFL injury game.
Okay,
probable, questionable, doubtful.
Well, because Penn State's going to be out of there after Ohio State beats them. So now, replace that. Then you throw in Clemson into the top 4 for sure. It's a distinct possibility, but it's interesting because Oregon, if they can beat Utah or vice versa, is in real good shape. You're going to move Penn State out of there, although Penn State's loss will be to Ohio State. And how will there's still the possibility for real controversy here.
Sorry, boys, I did not.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Walk-in humidors in town, filled to the brim with an amazing cigar selection. Relax in one of our leather chairs and enjoy an ice-cold beer or a glass of wine with your cigar. Jerry's is a great place to watch sports on our big flat-screen TVs and offers a comfortable setting for lively conversation. Visit our original store on Scherer Road or our new second location on Cary Forest Parkway. We hope to see you soon.
Need help moving? 2 Men and a Truck Tallahassee provides professional home and business move services, both locally and long distance. For your next move, visit 2men.com or call them at 850-224-2232. 2 Men and a Truck, the movers who care.
Hey guys, looking to unwind with a gin and tonic after a long day? Or reward yourself with an old-fashioned for you and a cosmopolitan for her? All from the comfort of home? Now you can, with a touch of a button. Introducing the DrinkWorks Home Bar by Keurig, an automated cocktail maker that delivers classic manly cocktails, flashy fruit cocktails, and everything in between right from your countertop. Each cocktail combines top-shelf spirits and premium mixers. Just insert the pod into the drink maker, press start, and your delicious cocktail, chilled to perfection, will be ready in under a minute. For a limited time, we're offering the DrinkWorks drink maker for a savings of $50 off the website price. This exclusive early bird offer won't last, so order yours today. To redeem this exclusive offer and experience their revolutionary DrinkWorks drink maker, go to drinkworks.com and enter code 2525 at checkout. That's drinkworks.com and enter code 2525 at checkout. Go beyond just wine and beer and step up your cocktail game at drinkworks.com. Keurig is a registered trademark of Keurig Green Mountain Inc. used under license. Please enjoy responsibly.
He's to the 20, the 10, the 5, and touchdown! Just as time expires. What a big score!
You too can score big with savings offered by the City of Tallahassee. With a free home energy audit from the city, you are sure to score some major points by identifying household energy needs. We'll come to your home at your convenience, examine your structure, and provide recommendations for energy and water-saving improvements. You can also take advantage of the city's Energy Star appliance rebates. This can help you receive up to $300 on appliances such as refrigerators, washing machines, and more. And don't forget to ask about budget billing. This free program gives you more predictable bills by averaging the amount you pay each month to help avoid spikes caused by seasonal changes. With so many savings, you're sure to be a winner. Visit talgov.com or call 850-891-4968. That's talgov.com or 850-891-4968 to learn more.
You're in charge of hiring, and Indeed has solutions, like online skills tests, which let a candidate show that they're the right hire. We'll also have a dolphin chatter excitedly in front of the perfect candidate. Okay, there's no dolphin. But skills tests, that's a for sure.
See why independent research by Silk Road shows Indeed delivers 3 times more hires than any other job site. Visit Indeed.com/promo today and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply.
Your next haircut now has a shortcut. Introducing the Sport Clips Haircuts app. That's right, now the cut you want is just a tap away. Just download the app, check in at your neighborhood Sport Clips, and choose your Guy Smart stylist, and you're done. We'll text you when your stylist is almost ready. Then head to Sport Clips for a championship haircut experience. It's home field advantage for your hair. No appointment needed. Just download the Sport Clips app and check in. And don't forget a beard trim. Sport Clips. You choose the cut, we cut the weight.
All aboard the tournament train. ESPN Tallahassee's home for select 2020 basketball watch parties is Hangar 38 in Bannerman Crossing.
Elite in 18, sweet again for the Seminoles in 2019.
Join the Jeff Cameron Show crew at Hangar 38 for select away games and enjoy giveaways, contests, and more.
The Seminoles have it. Another #1 is done.
Check out our next Sports Monster watch party next Wednesday night for the season opener against Pitt. The Jeff Cameron Show is brought to you by Cornerstone Tool and Fastener. Big store pricing with local service. Online at ctf.nu.
Crazy to take this in, but we always like to circle back on stories that have been featured on the show over the years or that we've commented on, and this one is disturbing, but it's certainly worth our attention. This piece of garbage that is Kellen Winslow Jr., or the second, if you will, has finally come to a conclusion. He's pled guilty to 2 more sex crimes, and he was looking at life in prison, Tom. Think about that. Think about that. Unbelievable. I can still remember the whole I'm a soldier rant in the locker room after they lost to Tennessee, of all people, Miami, way back in the day. And then I can still remember, obviously, the kind of player he became. That's not what the focus should be on here, but when you just consider you never know guys, right? You don't know when you're watching guys on Sundays and Saturdays, whether they're great guys, horrible guys, or something in between. But certainly I don't know that we could have ever guessed this.
No, I know what I suspected when 10 years ago or so, he's playing for the Bucks and he's open on every play. I'm like, I'm sure he's not a good guy, but he's open on every play. But then you find out the depths to which his personality is and behavior have fallen. And it was one story after the next. It wasn't like a weird one-off and you say, man, he's got medication issues or something. It's just a consistent pattern of incident after incident after incident.
He was a predator. But
God.
What's nuts is that I think the first time that we ever brought up, the post-football life of Kellen Winslow II was he was suspected, and we thought it was a funny story. It was almost like a Deadspin headline where, funny in this way. It's like, what are you doing, sir? He was apparently, alone in a van by himself in a parking lot at the mall, and somebody walked by the car and saw what he was doing. Okay, so I don't have to go into details. People can figure out what he was doing. And they called security. They're like, there's a guy in the parking lot doing unsavory things to himself out there and where people can see him. This is not good. And they called the cops. Cops came in, caught him in the act. That was the first time that we had ever really read or heard anything really weird about that. We're kind of like, my man, take it to the house. What are you doing? This is just bizarre. And we're making fun of the fact that how embarrassing it was to get arrested for something like that at a shopping mall and everything else. But we did not suspect, other than that's a little disturbing, that he was a menace to society. That was the first. And then you find out about all of these other things. And for those that don't know, of course, his father is Hall of Famer Kellen Winslow, who was later on, very briefly, the athletic director at Florida A&M, where he was a nightmare and thankfully was let go. rather hastily. Was a bad guy, is a bad guy. I had a terrible interaction with him at the quarterback club one night. Not a good person, that guy. And a narcissist, and really, really, you can see that. I mean, I guess I shouldn't speculate anymore for fear of getting myself in trouble, but just not a good guy. Now you get to his son, who was a star player at Miami, obviously, and went on to play many years in the NFL, was drafted 6th overall in 2004. I can still remember that. Is said to have made upwards of $40 million in his life. But to show that doesn't really mean anything, here you go. He had to plead to two more felony charges in Vista, California, hesitating in court several times, but eventually agreeing to a deal that would cap his potential sentence at 18 years. And the reason he did that was because he was looking at a life sentence. So he agreed to the plea deal. He's only 36 years old, admitted to 2 counts involving 2 different victims, a 2003 rape of an unconscious teenager, a 2018 sexual battery of a 54-year-old hitchhiker in Encinitas. In addition to that, the jury had found that he was guilty and that it was 5 months after he had pled guilty of raping a 58-year-old homeless woman whom he convinced to go have coffee with him, as well as assaulting 2 different strangers, misdemeanor sexual misconduct with 2 different strangers that he accosted. With those convictions, he was already facing 9 years in prison. To me, you read that and you think, how in the world, if already convicted on admitting to multiple rapes, would that be a 13-year or 9-year sentence? How is that? I mean,
well, I don't know. You had the kid out on the West Coast who got 1 year for doing it, and you got
unbelievable,
a lady who shot a guy in his own apartment and for 10 years. So I mean, sentencing around this country is ridiculous.
Before going through with the change in plea, the son of Chargers icon of the same name hesitated several times during the hearing, often providing long pauses as Superior Court Judge Blaine Bowman asked him questions. In court Monday afternoon, with the retrial jury waiting in the hallway, Bowman noted that Winslow had just spent roughly 2 hours discussing his change of plea with his attorneys and his family. Bowman asked the defendant if he had enough time to make a decision. He paused, looked back at his dad, who was nodding yes. I know you looked into the audience, Bowman said. I'm asking you. I'm not asking your father or anybody else. This is your decision alone. Do you accept the guilty plea? And warned Winslow in the moment that if that's true, be prepared for any sentence between 12 to 18 years. He said to the judge, well, I'm only going to pray to God that you give me 12 years so I can get home to my family as soon as possible. Gone. His lawyers then speculated that he has frontal lobe damage from his years of playing football and that he probably suffers from CTE and that much of this is not his fault but rather brain trauma, which has led to these the missteps, if you will. And they also noted he was in a significant motorcycle crash years ago, and they think that added to it. And at that point, of course, the judge said that, well, here's what we do know about brain injuries and what we know specifically about CTE, and that is that it can only be diagnosed, degenerative brain disease like CTE, through, postmortem. They can only do this through an autopsy. So that's not a defense. Have a good one. 18 years. So that's where we're at now. That guy's career, that's 77-year-old, 57-year-old neighbor, 58-year-old homeless woman, 18-year-old, a teenager, a 44-year-old woman. How in the world do you get 18 years? How is that not life? How is that not the definition of a career criminal, a threat to society, a menace to society? It's nuts. I know. It's rhetorical. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this. It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
the art equipment. I was intrigued. I became convinced even once I researched the science-backed, technology-tracked, coach-inspired workouts, all of that. But what I didn't count on was the support, the sense of camaraderie shown by the members and the coaches. You realize pretty quickly you're not alone. And when you're pushing yourself through barriers and attempting to be your personal best, you can use all the help you can get. And it's there. It's amongst the members and coaches at Orange Theory Fitness. To learn more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
You're in charge of hiring, and Indeed has solutions. Like online skills tests, which let a candidate show that they're the right hire. We'll also have a dolphin chatter excitedly in front of the perfect candidate. Okay, there's no dolphin. But skills tests, that's a for sure.
See why independent research by Silk Road shows Indeed delivers 3 times more hires than any other job site. Visit Indeed.com/promo today and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
We have to just settle something that's very important here. So if you go and figure out the area of a 17-inch pizza pie, right? So the radius being 17 inches, obviously. In square inches, that is 907.92 square inches, okay? If you look at the area of a 12-inch pie, that is 452.39 square inches. And if you double that for two pies, that's 904.78 square inches. So you're actually eating 3.14 more square inches of pizza if you are eating a 17-inch pie versus 2 12-inch pies.
And 3.14 is?
Holy
pie.
Holy.
Whoa. The Dan Le Batard Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
At Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, we haven't offered employee pricing in over 10 years. It's back. Get some incredible deals, like a new 2019 Ram, $1,500 up to $7,500 off MSRP, plus 0% for 60 months on the 2019 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. A huge savings only at Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram. Here's another. A new 2019 Jeep Grand Cherokee, up to $4,000 off MSRP. A new 2019 Dodge Challenger SXT, up to $6,000 off MSRP. Buy one for only $26,999 during our Dodge Power Dollar sales event. Employee pricing plus everyone qualifies going on right now. Only at Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, where we're right on the corner and always right on the price. Visit us on the web at TallahasseeDCJ.com. Pricing on in-stock vehicles only, plus tax, tag, and dealer fee with approved credit. See dealer for details.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. This is what you need to know. An increased workload for Chiefs quarterback Pat Mahomes as the team begins preparing for Sunday's game against the Titans. ESPN's Ed Werder reports this week's game has been targeted for his return from a dislocated right kneecap. On Sunday, it will be 24 days since Mahomes was injured, and the chance he re-injures himself reduced to between 10 and 20% at the 3-week mark. Coach Andy Reid said the team will see how Mahomes feels tomorrow, one day after practicing. In the absence of the reigning NFL MVP, the Chiefs 1-1 with backup Matt Moore. A credit to Reid, says ESPN's Marcus Spears.
Matt Moore obviously playing well in the absence of Pat Mahomes. But the fact that Andy Reid has this team, they're playing better on the other side of the ball. Just the calm demeanor of how he's approaching this, the ability to say we'll take it day to day when you talking about a franchise guy that could literally change the scope of your team.
Marcus Spears. Bengals receiver A.J. Green out the first 8 games of the season with an injured ankle, expected to make his season debut against the Ravens Sunday. Colts QB Jacoby Brissett sprained MCL, limited participant at practice today. Coach Frank Reich has said the team will play it ear by ear in determining whether he plays Sunday versus the Dolphins. Indianapolis receiver T.Y. Hilton likely out with a calf injury. NBA, for the second time this season, Clippers forward Kawhi Leonard will miss a game due to load management, and it is the second time the game's on national TV. Leonard, a spectator for the matchup against reigning league MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks, 10 Eastern, ESPN TV and the ESPN app. The 2-5 Warriors, off to their worst start in 8 years, will be without D'Angelo Russell tonight against the Rockets due to a sprained ankle, and forward Draymond Green out the entire 3-game road trip with an injured finger.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Balls McWednesday, brought to you by Hobbit American Grill. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving good food to good friends for good times. Online at myhobbitonline.com.
Kind of interesting about setting expectations during this coaching search. Yeah, there have been several articles written about what's reasonable to expect and, you know, how these kinds of searches have failed in the past. The most notable example is Tennessee a year ago. Everybody knows that, or 2 years ago, and how silly that was. But, you know, if you're not going to get the biggest name out there, the thought being that if you're a school that knows that you're not getting the biggest name out there, that's not even a candidate or a possibility, that you tell everybody within your fan base, we're not getting Urban Meyer if you're USC, or we're not getting Bob Stoops if you're Florida State, whatever. Dan Walken, who I often disagree with about almost all things, wrote about this very thing for USA Today. But he was noting some things here that I do think are pertinent, which is that, look, most fan bases immediately, it's this flight of fancy, this belief that, oh, maybe we could get, somebody akin to an Nick Saban or something like that, right? But they don't really exist out there. You're not getting Lincoln Riley away from Oklahoma, for example, or Dabo Swinney's not leaving Clemson. So you just think about the biggest names in the game right now that aren't possibilities. So almost by definition, you're going to be bringing in somebody that is maybe not sexy, not somebody that you're going to feel great about. Like, a good example would be if you were to, I guess maybe if you brought in a Mike Norvell from Memphis. A lot of people bring him up, right? Now, you know, I don't know how realistic a candidate he would be for this job, for example. I don't know that we're reaching out to him. I doubt it from what I understand. But I think even if you got him, even if he is as well thought of as any other candidate that you can think of who's done something as a head coach that you could point to, that wouldn't move the needle. That's not – Bob Stoops or James Franklin are about the only two guys out there that would move the needle.
Well, what priority is moving the needle versus getting the program right? Would be my question. And whoever's making the decision, what priority do they have for moving the needle versus righting the issues of the program and getting things where they need to be? You know, when they say that we're going to get back to Florida State standard, I'm not expecting that the 2020 Florida State Seminole football team is going to be playing like it's 1999 all over again. I don't expect that. But I don't know.
I do expect them to get lined up and have enough men on the field.
Well, that would be nice for starters. Mm-hmm. But what are we trying to accomplish here? I think, of course, the first answer from everybody would be, well, we're Florida State. We should be able to accomplish all things in one move. But I don't know how reasonable that is with the coaching pool out there.
Pool's not big. It's not a great pool to select from right now. Not to say there aren't great coaches who maybe people don't know an awful lot about. That part is true. I think that is accurate. I think there are probably a bunch of really, really good coaches who would do a fine job here identifying them, what attributes you're looking for in the next guy, what age you would like him to be. It was funny, you and me and Trey Jones, the golf coach at Florida State, friend of mine, and cohort, we're talking about the right ages for certain jobs. And sometimes we would point to somebody in their 40s. Oftentimes it'd be somebody in their mid-50s who've kind of lived and learned and matured, made mistakes, learned from them, moved on, whatever it might be. In other cases, you might look for somebody even considerably younger than that. But when you're coming off of this stretch of really poor play, dates back before Willie's time. The end of Jimbo's era was not good, and then you go right into Willie Taggart's 2 years, not good. What are we looking for? I wish I knew specifically kind of the criteria of the search. It would really help whittle down the names that we float or that we talk about or that we consider. I don't mean just as a university. I mean you and me as points of conversation. I mean,
Well, I just wonder, too, how much money is it going to cost you? I'm not, having to worry about cutting a several $million check. Don't have that kind of coin in the bank, and nor is it disposable if I did. So when you're agreeing to go get Bob Stoops, you're not just agreeing to get Bob, and we touched on this a little bit yesterday, but you're agreeing to do all of these other things that he's got all the leverage in the world. So he can make all the demands in the world, and it's your job to make those things happen or to have egg on your face after making Bob Stoops. The comment in the Democrat legitimizes yesterday's comment from Coburn. It legitimizes that Bob Stoops is a candidate. It's not a denial. So that's going to continue in the news cycles that Florida State is after Bob Stoops. And if you don't get him, the egg's on your face. It only increases the leverage for Bob to demand $8 million, $9 million, whatever it is, and the money for behind the scenes, for the coordinators. I mean, it's not just about the coach's salary that we're going to be doing here and investing in. It's the buyouts for the existings. It's the buyouts for the people we need to go get. And then it's all the money you got to pour into infrastructure, football-only facility maybe down the line, but director of operations and all the nutrition staffs,
again,
support staff.
I think that has to be something that you entered into this process knowing. You didn't just decide to fire Willie Taggart without the understanding that you got to get this right, and if that means you've got to spend a ton of money to get it right, you're playing the long game. If you have to leverage to your eyeballs to do it, I think they're willing to do that. I don't know, but it seems to me that would be the logical way here if you could get somebody that is virtually a can't-miss prospect.
Well, that's the thing is
you're only one of those.
You'll see immediate return from Bob, because people are just going to buy off of belief.
Sure.
But the thing is that I don't know, man. That tab runs up quickly, and it's a lot more expensive, like a hell of a lot more expensive with Bob than it is with a Matt Campbell. Matt would still cost you.
Because he has a buyout.
Right. But you're talking about leverage at the negotiating table to get all kinds of concessions if it's Bob Stoops. I'm not saying don't do it because it's too expensive. I'm just saying, plainly speaking, it's more expensive with Bob.
I want to know what the number is. I want to know what the number is where it becomes too expensive and you have to move on. And by the way, that better be the only name you hear that turns you down, because that would be reasonable. Nobody would laugh at Florida State for having inquired about Bob Stoops. Virtually any new job that opens up anywhere of this magnitude is probably going to feature some sort of inquiry with Bob Stoops because he's at the right age. He's not old. He's 59. He's a guy that's a national championship winning coach and one who sustained an elite program for long periods of time. So they would look at him as, hey, at least it's worth a call. Kick the tires on Bob. Everybody's going to do that. And if it's just Bob going, no, I'm good. I'm happy out of football, and what football I am going to be a part of is my investment in the XFL. I'm not a candidate. That doesn't make you look bad. That doesn't make you look delusional. It doesn't make you a sucker for having done it and then having him say no. No, that's all well and good. That's sort of a pie in the sky. Put a call into Bob and see what happens. Okay, Bob's not going to do it, or he wants the world. He wants some sort of deal that we just are not prepared to give, such as he wants to be the next athletic director when he retires in 6 years. I mean, the kind of demands that some people would make in order to get their ass off the couch. I mean, it's one of those, make it so that I can't say no.
I don't have to do this, guys.
Yeah, I don't need to do this, but here's how I will do it if I'm going to do it. I've got total control. And first of all, if you were to get Bob Stoops, no matter who the next AD is, he doesn't have as much power as Bob Stoops. Mm-hmm. Period. That's the end of that. Yeah. Bob's like the lone guy that if you got, he'd have more power instantly than the AD, whoever the new AD would be.
What else is new? I mean, and not directing that at Coburn.
No, but I'm just saying that
under Jimbo, it was,
But that's about to change, though, because of the new booster structure, and when the new president comes in, this gets set up to where you have some stability. We don't have it currently.
But would it undercut the progress you're making there because you're creating like a giant figure in the athletic department?
Well, I mean, it's gone on at Alabama for how long? I mean, nobody's even allowed to talk to Nick Saban. Legitimately, there's some funny stories about that. He's got people that he has told, this person's not allowed to talk to me. Don't have him walk in my office ever again. And they do it. They acquiesce because he's won championships. And that's the way it works in some places. Urban Meyer looked like he had more power than the AD at Ohio State for a long time. I mean, that became comical, right? I mean, He was looking at that guy like, how dare you?
Well, if you're trying to shoot a Lincoln movie and Daniel Day says, I won't do it if these people are on your staff, but I will do it if they're not.
Right.
Well, you make the changes.
You make the changes, right?
It's Daniel Day.
And he's about the only guy that can do it. Yeah. So, I get it. I mean, it's not ideal, but that was what that situation would be. Virtually anybody else, I don't think that's the situation. I don't know that there's another because we're not going to go after Urban Meyer. So I don't know there's another person out there that you could say that about, that would be true about.
I don't think so.
No, it's just Bob.
But, it's also worth noting, and I get that these are outliers. You want to swing for like Ohio State going to get Urban Meyer was, people figured, oh, man, here it comes. But Dabo wasn't a sexy candidate or coach ever. He was on the chopping block, right 2-3 years into his career. Orgeron, when that happened, the college football world said, oh, boy, I guess they've just gone cuckoo down there. They know they can't compete. They just got to bide their time until Nick is gone, and then they'll make their run. Well,
it's working out.
It's working out okay.
Yeah.
So whatever and then you have Jim Harbaugh. It's taken forever, and it really hasn't moved all the way in the direction that they wanted it to. So even if you feel great, if it's Bob, or you don't feel great because it's Matt Campbell or Clausen or somebody else, everybody's going to have to wait and see and allow it a chance to succeed or fail, because college football will surprise you one way or the other every once in a while.
Yeah, and I think that this fan base would be really, really excited about the closest other thing that I would point to as a possible can't miss, at least in terms of they'll be organized. Their recruiting you'll see an uptick in recruiting. They'll have an awful lot of success. I don't know about national championship success, but they'll be competitive quickly. Probably would be Penn State's James Franklin, after Bob. Probably would be. That's about the next closest thing to kind of can't miss there. Beyond that, any other name, Matt Campbell, Tony Elliott, Brent Venables, you name it, all is going to be okay, let's see. Really. And you can make the case for all the guys I just laid out there. And there will be groups, obviously, within the fan base, factions within the fan base. They're like, oh, you got to go with Tony Elliott. He's the next great thing. He's 38 years old. This is a can't-miss prospect. He's going to be with us for years. He can mold the program and all that. And then the group that counters that will be like, man, really? He's been in a good situation at Clemson. They got oodles of talent. He's going to come in here. He has to build something on his own. He's never been a head coach before. He may be a great leader, but he's never had to put the pieces together in a job like this. Didn't we just do this? And so there's not a candidate right now other than Bob that I think will be universally well-received.
How about Jay Gruden? What do you say to that?
No.
Just putting on the Tennessee hat for a minute, the Gruden brothers.
Oh, man. Who's a guy other than, and again, we're not going to try and hire Urban Meyer. Who's a guy that immediately you'd go, nope, this is a colossally bad idea? Lane Kiffin?
You mean like anybody
he's not a
or
candidate,
people that are...
Like reasonable candidates. Who's somebody that I've talked about in the last few days where you go, no.
Yeah, PJ Fleck. That's just personal preference. I feel like that guy should be in a white button-down shirt with a black tie knocking on my door, And I'm like, go away, dude. That's what he comes off as to me.
Well, don't worry. He got a big extension at Minnesota. He's staying, so you're good to go.
Yeah, but he was considered a reasonable candidate for the first 72 hours of this whole storyline. And I always thought, man, because if it fails with the guy like that, he just doesn't come off as genuine. I guess people say yes to him. I'd have a hard time.
He's recruited well at Minnesota.
I'd have a hard time looking that guy in the eye. It's something he's detached about him.
Well, he's a slogan guy. He's a slogan guy. He's
right.
A big motto guy. Yeah.
Right. Like, you're wondering, is it a hamster wheel? It can't be, because he's had so much success. It's just he comes off way too politician-y to me.
Well, go back and listen. You were here for it. You don't have to go back and listen. But for my listeners who didn't catch it the first time, I thought there's a couple of really good Q&As and interviews that I've done in the last 3 weeks. One was with Andy Staples of The Athletic, and we talked about coaching candidates. You can find it in our archive or on iTunes. But we went through the candidates that would be good candidates for Florida State. We talked about names that he's been impressed by, and Andy's been around the country talking to coaches for a number of years now. So I thought he lent insight to the conversation. And then I thought David Hale and I had a good conversation about this as well. Both did speak, obviously, glowingly about Tony Elliott and thought that guy was going to be the next big coach.
Who's a tier 2 or tier 3 coach that, you would look at conversely and say, I wouldn't be so disappointed if that guy came down here?
I think the answer to the question is Mark Stoops, because I don't think he's a tier 1 guy, but I do think he's a good football coach.
I think so, too.
But I got to admit,
it's not inspiring. I get that.
It's not at all. It's not at all. It doesn't mean it wouldn't work. It doesn't mean it wouldn't work at all. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, man, you go through this, you fire Willie, you pay out around $20 million to do all that, and you tell me the payoff is Mark Stoops? Okay. I mean, that doesn't feel good.
I know.
That doesn't, you don't go, all right,
No.
all righty.
I 100% hear you, but he checks a lot of boxes. He's nicer than his brother Bob. He gets the structure here as flawed as it can be at times.
Mm-hmm.
He's seen how you recruit to a place like Florida State firsthand. He has connections that obviously
he's got connections down in the Miami area.
And he can empower a couple of assistants and go fill up a staff to allow people to take over said area. It's not perfect. I'm not saying it is, but I wouldn't be like
it's yawn
crestfallen in your terms.
No, it's yawn inducing though. It really is. You're like, Mark Stoops, huh?
Our football product is going to be yawn-inducing for the next couple of years.
Yep, and people would say, especially if you hire Mark Stoops.
I don't know that season tickets are, Bob will pay for himself a lot of his salary like right away, but beyond him, I don't know anybody else that. I mean, even if it's Campbell or Tony Elliott, you'd race to the stadium to watch. You'd race to his press conferences. But I don't know that the average fan would drive up from Miami for a long weekend up here because we have Tony Elliott as our coach.
No, but I'm telling you, man, I really go search the internet for Tony Elliott interviews and conversations. I don't think it would take him long to get people to buy in, to believe. Because it doesn't sound like a sales pitch. It sounds like who he is. That guy's really smart.
I'll tell you the one thing that concerns me about Mark, though, is
not having somebody cover the receiver down around the goal line late in the game.
Point blank chances to win some games that would matter for that program and advance it, and they just find a way not to most of the time. I mean, I get they had the 10-win season, but they could have had multiple seasons where he was poached years ago. Because how do you beat Florida 3 out of 4 seasons at Kentucky? But he just couldn't.
Because he couldn't
get
a guy to line up on a wide open receiver.
There are other examples in that non-rivalry. This year, he's
got
a kick.
Well, that's not his fault. The kid just misses a point-blank kick.
People forget about how. They just see the what and the result.
That kid. Screw that kid. It still makes me mad. I can't believe that.
Okay, that was Virginia weekend, wasn't it? Yeah, we were at Hanger.
God, man. Still mad about that. Everything. Florida season turned on a dime.
Yeah.
They get lucky that Felipe Franks gets hurt. Which is a gift, because then they end up with a real quarterback that they didn't even know they had. And then, the kid misses the kick, too. A double whammy changes the whole season.
They usually get that break, don't they?
Well, especially against Kentucky.
And that's with 4-win seasons. Like, I remember when, so they're, like, fighting for bowl eligibility, and they're making kicks against teams you haven't even heard of to win the game. This is the 4th and 20 play against Tennessee. Remember that? we were at Northside.
I was laughing my ass off.
We were watching that game at Northside.
There was a part of me that actually took pleasure in that. I don't know why. I mean, I know I shouldn't have.
You don't know why.
Well, I just...
Who did it happen to? You know why.
Tennessee. I'm like, look at you guys.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this. It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
For every man and woman who chooses to protect our lives and our liberties. Kraft Nissan and Infinity of Tallahassee, thank you for your service.
A Kraft Brothers dealership.
As the leaves are falling, so are the DeWalt prices at Cornerstone Tool and Fastener. The Build Your Own DeWalt Kit promotion is back. Buy 2 select bare tools and get a DeWalt starter kit at no charge. That's 2 5-amp-hour batteries and charger. And there's more. Purchase a DeWalt drill and impact kit and get an additional 5-amp-hour battery and a free bare tool. Choose from impacts, drills, grinders, and more. That's 3 tools and 3 5-amp-hour batteries exclusively at Cornerstone. 1110 Stuckey Ave and 3269 Crawfordville Highway. Tallahassee location open on Saturdays from 8 a.m. until noon.
Just like football, when it comes to the court of law, you're going to need a solid defense. I'm Michael D. Blank, attorney with the Law Office of Jose Fernandez in Tallahassee. At the Law Office of Jose Fernandez, there is never an upfront fee, and if we don't recover, then you don't pay anything. Our team is dedicated to handling all types of accident, injury, negligence, malpractice, and wrongful death cases. If you're unable to come to us, we can come to you day or night. Call us now, 855-HOSE-305, for your free consultation today. The Law Office of Jose Fernandez. We don't get paid until you do. Offices, Tallahassee, Miami. GRFinjury.com. Go Noles.
The Florida State basketball team has one of the best records in the nation at home the last 3 years. The Tucker Center is a house of horrors for opponents. Don't miss the best ticket in town, the ACC Pack. Come see the nation's best basketball right here in Tallahassee as the Noles host North Carolina, Virginia, Louisville, Syracuse, Notre Dame, Miami, and more inside the Tucker Center. College basketball is taking the capital by storm. Don't get left out. Purchase your ACC Pack today. Call 888-FSU-NOLE or visit Seminoles.com today.
It's bow time at Bojangles. Come in today for a 3 Chicken Supremes dinner for just $4.99. Each Chicken Supremes dinner comes with 3 of our bold, craveable chicken tenders, your choice of fixin', and a fresh buttery biscuit. Plus, you'll get a free legendary iced tea. For a limited time, get Bojangles 3 Chicken Supremes dinner with your choice of fixin' and a biscuit for just $4.99. And don't forget that free iced tea. Bojangles. It's bow time, y'all.
Thursdays are Friday Eve, and that's a reason to celebrate. No matter what you're looking for, they've got you covered every Thursday down in College Town. Centrale offers 50% off select pizzas all day, every Thursday. Or you can stop by Township for Taco Thursday. $2 house tacos, $2. Madison Social offers the Social Agreement. You and a buddy can split 1 order of wings, 2 Madso burgers, 2 bourbons, 2 proof Madison Socials, all for just $40. See what they did there? And don't worry about parking. Plenty of spaces available in the parking deck or surrounding lots. Check out all the Thursday College Town deals right now on ThursdaysInCollegetown.com.
Hi, this is Peter Bond, owner of Jerry's Cigar Shop. Jerry's has been a local favorite for cigar enthusiasts for the last 25 years. We have the largest walk-in humidors in town, filled to the brim with an amazing cigar selection. Relax in one of our leather chairs and enjoy an ice-cold beer or a glass of wine with your cigar. Jerry's is a great place to watch sports on our big flat-screen TVs and offers a comfortable setting for lively conversation. Visit our original store on Scherer Road or our new second location on Cary Forest Parkway. We hope to see you soon.
Driving every day from the Tallahassee Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. This is what you need to know. An increased workload for Chiefs quarterback Pat Mahomes as the team begins preparing for Sunday's game against the Titans. ESPN's Ed Werder reports this week's game has been targeted for his return from a dislocated right kneecap. On Sunday, it will be 24 days since Mahomes was injured, and the chance he re-injures himself reduced to between 10 and 20% at the 3-week mark. Coach Andy Reid said the team will see how Mahomes feels tomorrow, one day after practicing. In the absence of the reigning NFL MVP, the Chiefs 1-1 with backup Matt Moore. A credit to Reid, says ESPN's Marcus Spears.
Matt Moore obviously playing well in the absence of Pat Mahomes. But the fact that Andy Reid has this team, they're playing better on the other side of the ball. Just the calm demeanor of how he's approaching this, the ability to say we'll take it day to day when you talking about a franchise guy that could literally change the scope of your team.
Marcus Spears. Bengals receiver A.J. Green out the first 8 games of the season with an injured ankle, expected to make his season debut against the Ravens Sunday. Colts QB Jacoby Brissett sprained MCL, limited participant at practice today. Coach Frank Reich has said the team will play it ear by ear in determining whether he plays Sunday versus the Dolphins. Indianapolis receiver T.Y. Hilton likely out with a calf injury. NBA, for the second time this season, Clippers forward Kawhi Leonard will miss a game due to load management, and it is the second time the game's on national TV. Leonard, a spectator for the matchup against reigning league MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks, 10 Eastern, ESPN TV and the ESPN app. The 2-5 Warriors, off to their worst start in 8 years, will be without D'Angelo Russell tonight against the Rockets due to a sprained ankle, and forward Draymond Green out the entire 3-game road trip with an injured finger.
Broadcasting live from the Tallahassee Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat studios in the capital city of Tallahassee. This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Balls McWednesday, brought to you by Hobbit American Grill. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving good food to good friends for good times. Online at myhobbitonline.com.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Thanks for tuning in to it. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you're going to listen live, either streaming free. Always don't miss anything. But hey, if you do, we got you covered. All 3 hours to be posted upon the conclusion of the show, both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. Make sure you rate, review, share with others regarding the JCS. 5 stars always. On Twitter, it's at Jake Cameron Show. WTSM app, good for your mobile devices. Hello, YouTubers and Periscopers. Hope everybody's doing all right. Okay. Basketball is nearly upon us. Tonight, we tip it off. We are looking forward to the season. Of course we are. I mean, goodness gracious, we're the choo-choo. But we're going to be at Hangar 38 tonight, so it's an added pleasure to take in the game tonight against Pitt because we'll be there with all of you if you want to be. Good food. Cold beer, mixed drinks, lots of televisions, a ton of video games, bowling alleys. You're good to go.
Really good boneless wings if you're in the mood for just something to nibble on. They have a sausage flight, too, that they pair with local craft brews, it's a good value, too.
Yeah.
And the pizza there is good. It's food's good. Food's good, man.
I will say this. I think tonight's game is going to be weird. Now, we're going to do the court report this hour. As I've said before earlier in the show, it's the Tallahassee Game Day Court Report, the first of several of these that we're going to do. And, we did this a lot last year, too, which was, hey, basically, that we use the 5 o'clock hour on a night where there's a game. And this will be the first one, like I say, of many, but there'll be a long break between this one and the next one, basically a month. But we'll preview the game. We'll do that the rest of the hour after this opening segment. First, this segment, a little bit to catch you up. There's not a lot to say about the coaching search, first of all. No new news there, and not even that much speculation. Things have quieted down greatly after that initial 24-hour surge of, I think, hope more than anything else.
Yeah, when you're talking about some of the big events that have happened related to the boosters or the athletic department, most of these congregations, if you will, you can't really be specific about the nature of any negotiation or the process, because yesterday most insider media outlets are reporting about a conference call that the boosters are on, and they're being apprised of what do we need, what's happening moving forward, who are the candidates, and they kick around the big ideas behind the scenes. But you can't get into specifics about a negotiation with any one particular candidate.
No,
because it's going to be on everybody's best friend's media outlet or message board or Twitter within 10 minutes. So you got to speak generally there. And then in the last hour, I saw that Ira Schoffel was at the athletic board meeting at Florida State, in which David Coburn gives a brief update on the coaching search for football. And he says that, they anticipate that they'll have a coaching hire by the end of the month. Well, okay, that's what he told the media and the world anyway in his press conference on Mondays.
Yeah, said that at the press conference, and I think that is absolutely accurate. The thing is right off the bat when the speculation began about Bob Stoops and how it was thought to be a fait accompli, that it was already done and that we were going to hear about it today or Thursday at noon at the latest and all that, we kind of, you and I certainly took a step back. I started thinking that's rather unlikely unless this has been in the works for months, which I didn't summarily dismiss. I did say, well, maybe it was. I mean, I don't think so, but maybe.
The timeline wouldn't be after the Miami game,
right?
In terms of talking to Bob, if it would have happened.
No, it would have already been happening a long time ago. So I thought, okay, well, I'm here to see it. I don't need to be first, and I'm not hearing that. So okay, let's find out what's what. But the part about wanting to get a leg up, get your order, that they wanted to have change today, and that doesn't sound like that to me. And slow your roll, everybody. Don't know that it's Bob Stoops. Don't know that he's interested. Certainly we.
Hey.
A shot of.
And I said, well, we as Knowles are the infant. I was including myself. Mm-hmm. And then
expected down on the field now as an on-field coach for Florida State this week in practice and for games. There's no surprise there. It'll be interesting to see the dynamics of that relationship. College football rankings came out last night. Don't get so up in arms. It's often kind of funny to listen to the television product that is the reveal of the playoff rankings. Ohio State, LSU, Alabama, Penn State, and look at that. Your defending national champions are outside the top four, and that is the talking point, which I dare say is exactly what they wanted it to be, a talking point. They wanted something that people had to debate and argue about and to discuss.
Well, it accomplishes two things, because then it puts the Penn State-Minnesota game right front and center for this weekend as a B card game. Alabama, LSU.
Mm-hmm.
So now 3 of the 4 teams in the playoff, the first week that they have the rankings done, are facing their own primetime game that matters so much. And now they're going to be knocked out of the rankings after these results, or Ohio State faces Penn State in a couple of weeks. I mean, they're playing the long game for TV ratings. That's what this thing has always been about.
Baylor and Oklahoma play each other in the not-too-distant future, obviously. Oregon and Utah, all that good stuff. We mentioned it with Penn State, as you said, taking on Ohio State soon. And obviously Alabama, LSU this week. And it is frustrating. I get a lot of texts and tweets when it happens, and I always crack up about it. Our buddy Judd wrote, here's where it matters. This is the fear with these rankings and where it kind of screws things up is, Jeff, what if the entire Big Ten is overrated again? When Florida beat Ohio State for a national championship in 2007, the media wanted Michigan or Notre Dame versus Ohio State championship game. All 3 were crushed once the games were played. Florida 41, Ohio State 14, Southern Cal 32, Michigan 18, LSU 41, Notre Dame 14. Rankings don't mean anything if the media is wrong. Clemson had a hiccup versus North Carolina and still won. Until somebody beats them, they should be number 1 or 2. Well, yeah, fine, but they got their chance and it's going to happen, and this is just a made-for-television event.
Not to sound like Danny Cannell, but can I posit this? What if the SEC is overrated this year?
Sure.
Alabama's flawed. LSU's win over Texas, not nearly as impressive. And Florida's win over Miami in week 1, I get it was at Felipe Franks, and it was like August the 15th. It wasn't super impressive. But then what are Florida's other impressive games that they played against Auburn, LSU? I mean, it's all, I don't want to use a bad word, but it all feeds upon itself.
Sure.
It all feeds upon itself. And maybe the SEC is, the best conference in the country, but maybe it's not far and away the best conference in the country, just because I think the LSU-Texas game has been the one that people have been pointing to as an indicator of relative conference strength.
Well, the only thing I'll say about that, though, is, and getting back to this where I do kind of roll my eyes, is it is convenient that they do this, and they do it all the time. And I understand that Alabama has been a superior power on the college football landscape for a long time, but they get the benefit of the doubt where others don't. And Clemson throttled Alabama a year ago. Clemson's schedule rank to this point is better than Alabama's schedule rank. The combined record of teams that Alabama has played is a losing record. And when they talk about Clemson, they talk about them, well, they play in the god-awful ACC. But right now, their strength of schedule is better than that of Alabama's. Clemson's best win is against Texas A&M. Alabama's best win is against Texas A&M. They're the same. There hasn't been there's no reason to penalize Clemson, but not Alabama.
Sure. But if Alabama wins this weekend, then we can all,
fine, right.
Yeah. But for this initial look, what it does is I don't even like to play that game, though, because the projection game doesn't matter. I mean, they switched TCU and...
Oh, yeah, back in the day?
TCU and Ohio State, like, way, way back when. And then Ohio State ends up getting in.
Around, yeah.
Like, they jump them because of the Big Ten. And that's what I would caution, too, is I know what happened with Ohio State and Big Ten teams the last decade, but we all thought that when Ohio State was team number 4 first year of the playoff, when we got in. And what happened?
And they won.
It was a different animal. I think Urban Meyer has built a different animal of a program, even though it's not his anymore. The caliber of player that they have there, you can't sleep on that.
By the way, just as an aside, just sort of a trivia thing. I don't know where I read this or saw this. You know, you get inundated with these tidbits, these nuggets, both partly because we work for ESPN and we get an email, but also because everybody comments on these things afterwards. So I don't want to, not give somebody credit, but I can't remember where I saw it. I don't believe the number 3 team in the college football rankings since this thing started has ever won it. No,
that's believable to me.
Since the initial ranking, yeah. In the initial ones?
So we were number 3 to start. We certainly didn't.
That year, yeah.
Oh, I'm not going to have an encyclopedic knowledge on this. You know why? Because we're never in it anymore.
Oh, buddy.
But, yeah, it's been Alabama or Clemson, and I think they've just been 1-2, alternating, right? It's just kind of been the story. Alabama, Clemson, blowouts for the most part in the first round. We did have the Georgia-Oklahoma years, and I don't think either of them – well, I don't think Alabama was number 3 that season entering the playoffs. So that makes sense to me.
Yeah, just it's kind of an oddity that the team that came in at 3 has not won it. I do know this. You're right. Unfortunately, it never concerns us because we don't have an interest since we're nowhere near the top 4. We don't have a case to be made. We're just sitting around angrily looking at the list. And then saying, hey, basketball starts tonight, which means Tallahassee game day. Court report coming up next. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this. It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Games in game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Seminole Headlines, presented by Capital City Bank. You're damn right. Catch Jeff Corey and Ira each Tuesday night from 5 to 7 p.m. right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
One of my favorite things about being a member at Orange Theory Fitness is the sense of community. Initially, after taking the tour and seeing the state-of-the-art equipment, I was intrigued. I became convinced even once I researched the science-backed, technology-tracked, coach-inspired workouts, all of that. But what I didn't count on was the support, the sense of camaraderie shown by the members and the coaches. You realize pretty quickly you're not alone. And when you're pushing yourself through barriers and attempting to be your personal best, you can use all the help you can get. And it's there. It's amongst the members and coaches at Orange Theory Fitness. To learn more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
At Sport Clips Haircuts, we're on a mission to help our veterans with their education. In 2013, we established the VFW Sport Clips Help a Hero Scholarship Program. With the help of your generous donations, we've raised over $6 million and awarded more than 1,400 scholarships across the country. Visit Sport Clips today and help a hero. And on Veterans Day, November 11th, Sport Clips will donate an additional $1 for every haircut we give. Help us continue this honorable mission.
He's to the 20, the 10, the 5, and touchdown! just as time expires. What a big score!
You too can score big with savings offered by the City of Tallahassee. With a free home energy audit from the city, you are sure to score some major points by identifying household energy needs. We'll come to your home at your convenience, examine your structure, and provide recommendations for energy and water-saving improvements. You can also take advantage of the city's Energy Star appliance rebates. This can help you receive up to $300 on appliances such as refrigerators, washing machines, and more. And don't forget to ask about budget billing. This free program gives you more predictable bills by averaging the amount you pay each month to help avoid spikes caused by seasonal changes. With so many savings, you're sure to be a winner. Visit talgov.com or call 850-891-4968. That's talgov.com or 850-891-4968 to learn more.
GT Electric is Tallahassee's premier state-certified electrical contractor. Locally owned and operated for over 20 years, GT Electric offers a variety of electrical services for residential, commercial, and industrial fields, including upgrades, repairs, replacements, and installation. GT Electric also sells and services power generators for commercial buildings, homes, and construction job sites. Call them today at 421-9002. That's 421-9002. Or stop by gtelectricfl.com.
People trust Sellers for better tile, carpet, and hardwood flooring. Sellers Flooring Advisor Ryan Fitzgerald.
We understand most people don't come in with great knowledge of what they're looking for or what they need. So at Sellers, what we try to do is use our expertise to guide you through the process.
Get Sellers working for you.
We make it easy, and we have the experts on staff to get you where you need to be, and we give you the options.
On Capitol Circle Northeast, just north of Mahan Drive. Call 656-8453. Online at sellerstile.com.
This is Tallahassee Game Day Court Report.
Going the distance. Got it! The Iron.
Well, as we noted at the start of the hour, that this would be our first court report. Really excited to do it. It means that we get to segue into basketball season together. Of course, the Noles a year ago, 29-8, 13-5 in the ACC, fourth in the conference. And in addition, the NCAA tournament said hello. We said it's good to be here again. We'll just take it to the Sweet 16, which we did. And tonight's opponent, Pittsburgh, and that dingy, poorly lit, boring-ass facility, the Peterson Events Center, as they call it, Tom. I don't think they describe it the way I just did.
Probably not.
No.
It was probably more attended or will be more attended last week for AEW than it is for tonight's game. But we'll see. We'll see. Sometimes those students do turn out.
Yeah. That said, Pitt went 14-19 a year ago, just 3-15 in the ACC. Did beat us. Remember how annoying that was? They went to the free throw line a record number of times, and we were forced to look at the officials side-eyed.
I think it was like 36 times, 38 times. Yeah.
First, it was the most that any team had gone to the free throw line against us in 15 years. That's a stat. That's
you could tell within about 5 minutes it's going to be one of those nights where the officials, they want to be the lead story, and so come hell or high whistles, they will be the lead story.
We'll be at Hangar 38 tonight to take in the basketball game, and if you're out and about and want to allow your kids to run around and maybe watch a little basketball while they do that, swing on by, enjoy it, because the food is good, the beers are cold, and there's a bevy of TVs to take in the game. If you're not able to make it, you're going to be at the house watching, just know that is Xfinity Cable Channel 396 that you'll be tuning into tonight. The Noles are on. It's been an avalanche of basketball in the last 24 hours. It's been amazing. I flipped around last night until my eyes grew heavy, but watched a ton, and we could note that, and I will later in the show, as to what went on with teams in the ACC. But It's good to have basketball back. Good to have it on as another choice, given where we've been with football and our fortunes there, not what we had hoped.
Well, yeah, I'm thankful that the football season got us to the beginning of basketball season. It's all I asked of it. I mean, if we recall, we could play the tape back.
Just get us there.
Just get me to basketball season. But in truth, this is an accelerated start to the season for this squad that's rebuilding. We're trying to learn what exactly they have. Leonard said it after Game 2 of the exhibition. As coaches, we don't really know what we have yet, and it makes it difficult when you face an ACC foe right off the bat. And then you've got Florida to come this weekend. Typically, you gear up for these things, but the last couple of years, Florida State starts with haymakers.
Yeah, no, it's frustrating, right? And there's a couple of things here. I am not in favor of playing conference games this early. There's no choice now that the ACC network exists. They're playing more conference games. They've added to the schedule. And so this was something that they could roll out and advertise and say, hey, because, listen, in truth, the bread and butter is still, for ACC folks, the Blue Buds, basketball, and they can't wait to promote basketball, and that was a big part of getting the network, the ACC network that is. Now, I know for those of you in Tallahassee, you're going, yeah, great, I don't have the ACC network. No, you don't. Not if you have Xfinity. You don't. Or Comcast. It's very frustrating, but there are a lot of basketball games on starting last night through the rest of this year. Yeah. And I got to tell you, that part of it I am happy about because I'm paying for the ACC network on YouTube television. I'm going to be watching a ton of basketball, and I would imagine we'll be on there quite a bit. Not tonight. We're on regular 396, but
yeah, but these are all important games for us, and these are important games to watch around the league because it's we feel like we should get in, but it's not a shoe-in.
Oh, God, no. And I think we're going to start slow. 14 of 15 ACC teams have to open their season with a conference game. So only Duke didn't, and we saw who they played. So, you'll live with that. It's the same for everybody. Pitt is a team you should beat. Florida State is, if you're wondering, favored to win the game. Doesn't mean anything. First games are awfully odd, and I actually think these first 10 games are going to be strange for Florida State because I really get a sense from reading what Ham had to say and listening to what he had to say and just talking to people around the program, they're just not entirely certain what they have once you get past the starting five. Now, we plenty of familiar names in that starting five, but if you really look at Florida State, for example, how healthy tonight is MJ Walker? He re-aggravated his injury in the exhibition game last Friday.
Leonard denied that for the record, but yes.
Yeah, it looked like he may have. He hit a couple of threes and then came out. It's a lower leg injury. They're going to be careful with him. It's so early in the season, but they're going to need him to play well and take a step forward this year. I think obviously we're all expecting huge things out of Trent Forrest, who's the unquestioned leader of this team and will have the ball in his hands primarily, setting things up for others. Devin Vassell emerged late last year as kind of a legitimate stud. And what I mean by that is the kind of guy that wants to shoot when the game is on the line, who is simply not afraid and is skilled to do that. And he is a guy that I think will have a huge year for Florida State, obviously. So these are some names that you already know and you're familiar with and you're going to be counting on. Oddly enough, I think they believe that Polite is going to have a much bigger role than maybe we would want.
Well, he may be pressed into a bigger role given, obviously, some of the health concerns with this team and some of the depth concerns early on. But I think, honestly, today's top story, which is brought to you by AAA Tree Experts, AAA Tree Experts in Landscaping, and now Holiday Lighting as well, to me, it's going to be the defense, Florida State's defense, because Coach Ham was concerned after exhibition game 1. He was concerned after exhibition game number 2 that we're not where we need to be, which is something he always says. He says, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And so if you're trying to go through growing pains and you're not able to make stops, that's where this can get a little bit scary and the record becomes daunting as we get towards the end of our first month.
It is critical, and Hamilton has stressed this every year that he's been here, that they pick up on what it is we're trying to do defensively and that these guys understand those principles, and you have a lot of newcomers, a lot of new pieces. You lost a lot of experience. That is 100% correct, Tom. The storyline, today's top storyline, is how good, how solid, how reliable are the new guys on defense. The veterans are going to know where to be, but how quickly can we get everybody else up to snuff?
Well, and Dom Olejniczak, I looked up the name and pronunciation to get ready for this basketball season. That's the kind of pro.
You are in it.
My hockey background doesn't help with Olejniczak. You really had to go find it. But that's a guy who's going to be contributing potentially on the glass and defensively. You look at his game log for Ole Miss, and he's playing anywhere between 6 to 18 minutes a game. Sometimes he got into the 20s. Hasn't scored in double digits the back, 8-9 games of their conference slate. It was mid-January that he was scoring in double digits. But that's going to be a player with the size and the experience that we're going to have to lean on a lot early this year as we're figuring out what our rotation is going to look like. Are we going to play bigger? Are we going to play smaller? And he's already banged up with a calf injury himself. So when you're looking at our defensive principles, getting used to this system, and then who are the role players who are going to account for the scoring we've lost, six of our top 8 scorers are gone. I think it was 4 of our top 5 rebounders are gone from year to year. It may be worse than that. You've got to factor in some of these new guys into the equation. But the hard part is, as you're traveling on the road for an ACC test out the gate, is everybody healthy? No. So these answers are going to be irregular for the first couple of weeks.
I always feel, too, and we, have been a program of significance, obviously, the last 3 years. Each of those years making the NCAA tournament, 2 of those years getting to at least the Sweet 16, if not better, with the Elite 8 appearance. I always feel like the beginning of the year, because Ham is not afraid to play so many guys and really does empty the bench, and the rotation is never really certain early on. And I also have noted a number of early season injuries in past court reports that we've done and things of that ilk.
Yeah.
I always feel like I just don't know what I'm going to be looking at through the first 5 to 7 games. I hate being in limbo, but I fall back on a level of trust that this staff has earned, frankly, which is we might not look good. I mean, I'll just say it tonight when we're at Hangar 38, this might be a pretty ugly game. We might look great. I guess what I'm saying is I don't know what to expect from this team, but early on, I typically kind of just hold my nose knowing it's going to get better.
Yeah, I'd expect us not to look good. If we do, I'll be pleasantly surprised. You hope that Pitt's, they've got a lot of sophomores and the same suspects that put us down last year when we were on the road. They're a year wiser, a year smarter in the ACC.
Trey McGowan's and Xavier Johnson.
And Tony as well.
Yeah, they got a shooter too, yeah.
So, yeah, they got a kid who shot, 40% in his previous stop. Murphy is his name, is that right?
Yeah,
Ryan Murphy?
He shot 40%, then he had an injury, then he went to a JUCO, and now he's at Pitt. And, he can shoot. That's frustrating.
So it's a recipe for, a long night. But the thing is, if you can get this win, it's a huge thing to have in your back pocket because this is not a Pitt team that's expected to go an over in ACC.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this. It's right here, guys. We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Medical Shop has all of your home medical needs. They carry home oxygen, hospital beds, nebulizers, walkers, wheelchairs, orthotics, diabetic shoes, and all sleep apnea supplies. Lanes also has a weight loss clinic in-house, no appointment necessary, including B12 injections and any prescriptions necessary with the lowest prices around, and delivers to Tallahassee in South Georgia. Located only 40 miles from Tallahassee, go see Blake today, 210 West Main Street, Colquitt, Georgia, 229-758-9111.
Who's ready for the best wings in Tally and locally brewed beers? Hobbit American Grill is the place to be. They've been voted Tally's best wings again in 2018. Hobbit offers Bingo Mondays, happy hour all day Fridays with craft beers on tap from all the local breweries. And the Hobbit is your home for all the UFC fights with plenty of high-def TVs for everyone. Be on the lookout for the food truck coming soon with the best lip-smacking wings in town. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving great food to great friends for good times. For info on their hours and 3 locations, visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Come visit the new and exciting Hangar 38. This amazing place is for everyone listening right now. Practice your bowling skills, compete, and have fun. Whether you're a newbie, an all-star, or a beer frame champion, no matter how you roll, you'll find the best place to bowl is at Hangar 38. Hangar 38 is home to over 75 arcade games, so they're sure to have something for everyone. Zeppelin's at Hangar 38 is a premier full-service restaurant and sports bar, and it's also your place for birthday parties and company outings. Tallahassee, what are you waiting for? Come on out to Zeppelin's Hangar 38, 6668 Thomasville Road behind Walgreens.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
Are you starting a new business or expanding your business? Looking for the right general contractor to assist you with the tenant space build-out? Look no further. From restaurant to retail, we have the experience to work with you. At T-Spark Enterprises, we are ready to be a part of your vision and build a space that exceeds your expectations. Whether you're looking for design build or build from your own design, give us a call today for a free consultation. As the owner of T-Spark Enterprises, I guarantee when it comes to your business space, we only provide picture-perfect results.
Call 850-766-1340. T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark, TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CGC 1525336.
Hi, it's me, your nose. I'm so congested. Use the Vicks Sidex nasal spray, would you? Mouth breather. Yeah, the Vicks Sidex nasal spray starts working in seconds and lasts for up to 12 hours.
I can breathe again. Vicks Sinex nasal spray is incredible. I feel like a whole new nose. Oh, let's buy a new car so we can smell it. Oh, we're really breathing now.
For nasal congestion relief, get Vicks Sinex and breathe freely fast. Use as directed.
Hi, this is Peter Bond, owner of Jerry's Cigar Shop. Jerry's has been a local favorite for cigar enthusiasts for the last 25 years. We have the largest walk-in humidors in town, filled to the brim with an amazing cigar selection. Relax in one of our leather chairs and enjoy an ice-cold beer or a glass of wine with your cigar. Jerry's is a great place to watch sports on our big flat-screen TVs and offers a comfortable setting for lively conversation. Visit our original store on Sharer Road or our new second location on Cary Forest Parkway. We hope to see you soon.
The Jeff Cameron Show podcast, available on demand at ESPNTallahassee.com and on iTunes today. The Jeff Cameron Show podcast is brought to you by Garnet and Gold of Tallahassee. When you buy FSU apparel, support local business. GarnetandGold.com.
As sports fans, we all know this is the best time of the year. And the best places to catch all the action are at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill and Seventh Hill Tap Room. This week at the Seventh Hill Tap Room, enjoy general knowledge trivia on Thursday night. Trivia this week is sponsored by Infinite Ale Works and Hal Patter Brewing Company. Enjoy specialty tappings and 3 rounds of prizes. Be sure and get there before 7 p.m. So, whether you're feeling the upstairs at the Corner Pocket or lounging down at the Seventh Hill Tap Room, your game day is always covered. 2475 Appalachia Parkway, right next to Earth Fair.
Balls McWednesday, brought to you by Hobbit American Grill. Hobbit American Grill, celebrating 40 years of serving good food to good friends for good times. Online at myhobbitonline.com. Tallahassee Game Day Court Report is brought to you by Lisa's Paint and Body. Choose someone who is working with and looking out for you. Lisa's Paint and Body, 2820 Mahan Drive.
We'll give you our court report predictions, brought to you by Lane's Medical Shop. We'll do that shortly, although it's a little odd, I have to admit. I'm just going to go with Vegas. They got us winning by 4. Did you see that, 4.5?
Yeah, I don't feel great about it because that building has been a house of horrors for us. Even when Pitt is down, it seems like we have a tough time there. Sometimes we're not motivated. Sometimes the refs take the game over. But then also maybe a small prediction on whether or not we make the dance this year.
You want me to do that now?
Yeah, it's a blind guess. Everybody knows.
Yeah, I got to get into full choo-choo mode and get focused and get locked in. I should already be there, but this has been the week from hell because in addition to trying to transition to basketball and get your mind wrapped around it, we're still at the end of a football season and suddenly a coaching search is launched. And so you're kind of – it's hard to get there, and I'm ready to get there because the basketball team has earned our entirety of our attention, right? I mean, they have earned that through the last 3 to 4 years, and I want to get there. Maybe tonight's game does that for me, but right now it's like in between breaks we're kind of all right. This game, that'll be an interesting matchup. Okay, who are they talking to? It's kind of like, and so you're constantly.
Oh, it feels like a reverse bowl season for the basketball team because you got to start this week. Listen, I'm not a defeatist. I'm just a realist. Last year I felt pretty good about us tipping off against Florida. This year, when we go down there this weekend, I don't feel so great.
No. Florida ought to win the game. I mean, they've got a vast amount of experience. They've really been on the wrong side of this rivalry for some time now. I would think it's their time, but we'll see. We'll play the game.
And the whole world, Jay Billis has him as preseason number 3 in the country. So the preseason hype machine for Florida rolls again. So all the pressure's on Florida. But at the same time, I don't expect to win that game myself. So this one does become like its own little bowl game experience. If you can get it, we're going to feel pretty good heading into the next handful.
Yeah, we'll face Pitt, by the way, twice this season. The other teams that we're going to be facing twice with the expanded 20-game ACC schedule will be Clemson, Miami, unfortunately Louisville, who many think is the best team in the country, Notre Dame, and Virginia. Great. At least we won't have to hear about Kyle freaking Guy. He is no longer there. That's nice to know.
Is that confirmed? I don't believe it until I see it.
Yeah, Kyle Guy is gone. That's nice to know. You know who else is gone? Ty Jerome. He's also gone. He's in the NBA.
Ty Jerome tried to blow that NCAA tournament championship for them. But we did hand Virginia their final loss of the season.
Yeah, their last loss last year was to us. That's true. They did then go on to avenge last year's or the year before's embarrassment, first ever 1-seed loss to a 16. I still it boggles the mind that happened. All my life I've waited for that moment, and then it wasn't even close.
No,
they got run off the court.
That was when we were waiting for the tip-off against Missouri. We were playing that game in Nashville,
which was also not even close.
Right? Yeah, there was a couple of snoozers there that night.
Yeah, we were able to bore the crowd there by our dominance. It was a beautiful thing. I don't know how often we'll be able to bore the crowd by our dominance this year. I don't think it'll be tonight. Certainly wish it would be. By the way, if you missed last night's ACC action, you saw, Duke rallied past Kansas. Now, some of us roll our eyes that Duke is the lone team that doesn't have to start the year with an ACC game. But if you're going to start with Kansas, all right, you get a pass. At least you're starting with a big name. And they played great defense in that game. They only shot 36%, but they win the game 68-66 in the Champions Classic at MSG. And that was 28 turnovers for Kansas last night. A lot of those forced, but a lot of those
sloppy as hell. They were trying to apologize, I think, towards the end of the broadcast for Duke's victory because they saw the way the game played out. And Billis so the first time I turned on, it's just before half, and Jack White makes a bucket, and Jay Billis says he's a lot more experienced this year. He really feels his perimeter games are rounding into form. And it just reminded me of how angry I was. The dude had one on day in ACC play, and it was against us here in Tallahassee.
All damn day.
I mean, come on.
Lit it up in the second half. Louisville, who is preseason number 5, were up at one point in the game against Miami by 32 points midway through the second half. Talk about a beating. They ended up winning that game 87-74. Score is not indicative of how dominant they were over Miami in that game. Virginia Tech won 67-60 on the road at Clemson. And you got two teams with entirely new starting lineups there. And for Virginia Tech, a brand new head coach. And Georgia Tech edged NC State 82-81 in overtime in Raleigh. The Pack having to play without two starters there. They had one due to injury and one was suspended. So 3 other ACC games tonight, Wake Forest and BC at 6 o'clock on ESPNU right before FSU and Pitt. And then Notre Dame at North Carolina, by the way, ACC Network game, 7 o'clock. Should be a fun game. Notre Dame is returning everybody, so this is a quality Notre Dame team.
So you're telling me that we got a 6 o'clock tip-off before our 8 p.m. tip-off.
Yeah, so it's going to be running a little late. You're worried about that?
Yes, they're going to blow the whistles in that game, keep BC and Wake on the court as long as possible. Lovely. We'll get there by the under 16, hopefully.
Virginia at Syracuse, 9 o'clock on the ACC Network. First look at, again, Virginia, the national champions, the defending national champions, who are replacing DeAndre Hunter, aforementioned Kyle Guy, Ty Jerome. Good, all of you. Take it on down the road. There you go. That's good to see. So that's what's going on throughout the remainder of the ACC. And for us, we talked about this game. Florida State is a 4.5-point favorite. Neither Tom or I feel real good about that. I would say this. You referenced Ryan Murphy. Ryan Murphy is the young man who played at Charlotte. You may remember him. Hit 40% from downtown, is a marksman, ended up breaking his foot, and then decided to go to a JUCO in New Mexico, and then he made his way to where he is now, which is Pitt, and they went overseas, did Pitt. They used this offseason to do the overseas trip thing, and he led his team in scoring and made 3-point shots at a 50% clip, Tom, so he can still shoot. He can still shoot.
Lovely. So let's close out. And I'm sure our defensive principles aren't where they need to be because I hear the concern, legitimate concern in Leonard's voice. Let's hope that there's a lot of back iron and front iron tonight for Pitt.
Yeah, so Xavier Johnson and Trey McGowens are the other two guys that you're going to see an awful lot of. I referenced the stat. It was out of control. They shot more free throws against Florida State than any team had last season. That event occurred where we were screaming at the television in 15 years. 15 years. Nobody shot more threes. Made more free throws against us. Crazy.
Yeah, they missed one between the two of them.
It was insane.
Is that right? Did you it's like 28-29, something absurd like that.
Yeah, I was pretty mad.
And that's what it took.
Yeah, I was reminded of it. I got to give Rogner credit again. He does a great preview, and I read some of that this morning. I was like, yeah, man, really? I forgot about that. I got to be reminded of that again. Damn it.
Yeah, this is a team that, listen, if we're disappointing this year and we're on the bubble, because I think an expectation season would be somewhere in the neighborhood of, you're not all the way in around a 3 or 4 seed level, but you're in the tournament. So if it's a little bit of a disappointing year and we're on the bubble, Pitt could be a team that we're competing against. We got 2 dates with Clemson. I'm not sure how good they're going to be this year. Notre Dame is considered to be a group that might be right around that bubble. There's a lot to look at in the ACC standings as the season goes along because I think if we finish in that top 7, we're making it. But once you get around 8 or 9, I don't know the relative strength of the league. Depending upon where you look, some people say that the top half of the ACC, a bunch of teams that deserve to be in, and the bottom half, a bunch of nothing. So what that does to the the NAT rankings.
Yeah, there you go.
Which took a lot of heat last year. But whatever that does to the NAT rankings, now that you've got a 20-game conference slate, we'll see. There's just a lot of questions out there, and I don't know that we're going to get any answers until sometime around New Year's.
Well, speaking of which, wanting to get answers, for as much as we're looking for the keys to the quality depth that Florida State typically has, and who are those guys coming off the bench, who are these new faces that are going to be willing to and capable of contributing, Jeff Capel is doing the same thing for Pitt. He's got to rely on 3 freshmen during the non-conference schedule. A lot of their fans are saying, how much do we see of these guys that we brought in? Because they're pretty excited about the class that they brought in. They got a Justin Champagne is a kid that you'll hear about. Gerald Drumgoole is another kid that they brought in that they're expecting to see play. The Koulibaly, I think is his last name, is a freshman there too. They don't have a ton of experience depth. They've got the Ryan Murphy kid that we alluded to, and they got an Eric Hamilton and Terrell Brown are guys that I guess are holdovers from a year ago. So they're looking to play some freshmen tonight. We'll see who makes the fewest mistakes with their new guys.
Well, it's an opportunity to get right on the glass, too, for us, because if you look at their heights and weights, they've got a couple of kids at 6'9", one at 6'10", but he's 235, and Terrell Brown. There's an opportunity here for Dom or the true freshman, Balsa Kaprivica. We need
Nicely done. You are on it early.
Balsa Steele. I did some research for this. I've got some professionalism in my bones.
You were ready.
So Olejniczak or Kaprivica, the opportunities for them tonight.
Kaprivica to Olejniczak.
But we need Trent Forrest to crash the glass. We need Devin Vassell to be there. Raekwon Gray is an X factor this season.
Didn't come in camp in shape.
I know. You could hear me gearing up to try and be kind. He's not as slim as people had hoped.
No, he's not.
But he could be really effective, and he's an incredible athlete to be able to move around at the size he does. There's just a lot of basketballs in the air, but I think one thing that people are really interested in as they watch this season unfold is Patrick Williams, our star recruit that came in. Some projections by NBA draft experts have him as a first-round pick, as a one-and-done first-round pick.
Wow.
Well, if that's the case, then maybe this guy can step in earlier on than most freshmen do in this system.
Exciting to hear that. I don't know that everybody realized that there are those that think that highly of him. I'm not even sure I knew that.
I don't think he was lottery.
No.
But first round,
First round, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This is something in that Malik Beasley mold, hopefully, in terms of where he lands in the NBA draft, not the type of player.
Before we get to Court Report predictions, Tallahassee Game Day Court Report is brought to you by Lisa's Paint and Body, 2820 Mahan Drive, just 0.2 of a mile west of Capitol Circle Northeast. Choose someone who's working with and looking out for you. Lisa's Paint and Body, 385-2665. Yeah, it's hard to do predictions early in the season. I saw the total on this game because I'm, a gambler, and I wanted to go see what these numbers are. I would say on a side note, and I know the Court Report is probably no place to do this. Guys, this is where you get fat. I mean, Vegas has no idea on a lot of these teams right now. You can do some early research, and I'm talking about throughout the country. There's a lot of these nondescript matchups between middling mid-majors that nobody knows anything about. It's remarkable. I was looking up numbers last night, and this does play into predictions. How many overs or unders that were predicted in these games that were off by 20 points?
Yeah.
Vegas never misses by 20 and 30. I mean, they do, but it's very, very rare. I saw at least 16 games last night just going through the slate where they were off by 20 or more points on the totals. They don't know. It's hard. It's much harder. Like, you can keep track on a select group of NBA teams, but you got hundreds of basketball teams in college. It's very difficult.
Well, for me, I think tonight, if I was to place a wager anywhere, and I'm not, I mean, shoot, we're all finding stuff out together and learning together. I probably would take Pitt +4 if you tell me that Leonard is going to play a large rotation.
Yeah,
but
I took the Noles -4.5 for $10,000.
If the rotation is
tiny,
I
did not do that.
If the rotation is tiny and we're riding the four guys that we know, from last year for 30-plus minutes, then I feel better about our chances. But I don't know that that's in our DNA. And I don't even know who the hell is healthy. I mean, if MJ can play only 15, 20 minutes, you're leaning on a lot of guys. I mean, this is he said it himself, Leonard, last week, going from the frying pan straight into the fire. So maybe we come up smelling roses, maybe we don't, but there's a lot of intrigue tonight at Old Hangar 38.
And we hope you're going to come on out and say, hey, and join us, because we do know this. Intrigue for sure, but it'll be fun. Hangar 38 is fun, and if kids want to watch some basketball, run around, have some fun, you can have a cold one, watch the game with us. Today's predictions brought to you by Lane's Medical Shop, with locations in Colquitt and Blakely. Lane's Medical Shop offers all your medical supply needs. We'll even deliver to you with emergency service available. Lane's Medical Shop, 229-308-5811. All right, Tom, time for us to at least say it. We'll throw a score out there. It's really an exercise in futility. I'll take Florida State to win the game tonight, 73-71.
I hope it's that entertaining, and I hope that's the result.
I hope we win by 50, and it's boring all the way through.
I think we're looking at 63-56 Pitt
Oh,
tonight.
no.
Yeah.
Tom Lang.
Well, they have an identity.
Where your head's at.
We don't. They return a bunch of dudes. We return some guys here and there.
Come on.
I need Devin Vassell to go off for 20-plus.
You have us scoring in the 50s? Stop that.
This could be a turnover fest.
No. We're scoring in the 60s bare minimum.
They turned it over a bunch in the exhibition.
I sure don't like where you're at. You got to get focused, Tom. Get focused. And a choo-choo to all of you. That's not Hardy yet. It's not Hardy yet. We're building towards it. But we'll get there. We appreciate you listening to the Court Report. Game day court report. That's what it is. We've got several of these, like 16 of them, right?
That's correct. We've got a lot of them. Yes.
All
and
right.
the next one will be next month for the ACC Big Ten.
Well, we'll know a little something then.
We can't do this Sunday because it's not for fear of the Gator game, but it's we got NFL on a Sunday.
Yeah,
and that's a 1 o'clock tip on it. It's just weird. The
And
early
it's-
season's weird.
And it's Sunday, and I'm going to be at home. So that's the other reason we can't do it. Good work out of you. Good work, Matthew. Be well, everybody. Have a great night. Hopefully we'll see you over there at Hangar 38 for Florida State basketball.